around Dodge City and in the territory on west, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers, and that's with a U.S. Marshal and the smell of Gunsmoke. Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad. The story of the violence that moved west with young America. The story of a man who moved with it. Matt Dillon, United States Marshal.
Jeannie, what's the matter?
Good morning, Miss Wells.
Good morning, Chester. Matt, I've got to talk to you.
Sure. Chester?
You folks will have to excuse me. I can't be puttering around the office all day. I'll be in the back if you want me.
Yeah?
Matt, he's here in Dodge City. I just saw him. He came in on the morning train.
You mean Ed Beaudry?
Yes. It's been 4 years, Matt. I'd begun to hope he'd forget. Hope he wouldn't find us.
From what you've told me, Beaudry doesn't sound like a man who ever forgets.
He's come here looking for Bert. To kill him, he swore he would. Matt, what are we going to do?
I don't know. What's Bert think about it?
He doesn't know yet. He's busy at the blacksmith shop. Matt, you've got to help us. You're the only real friend we have out here.
It might make it easier if I weren't, Jeannie. I'm supposed to maintain law and order in Dodge. That's my job. Doesn't leave much leeway to mix in on personal quarrels.
Well, there's no quarrel. It's just that Ed Beaudry's a hot-tempered fool. Bert never did anything to him.
He married you, didn't he?
A woman has a right to change her mind, Matt.
Maybe Beaudry doesn't think so.
Matt, you promised me once in Louisville.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. All right, Jeannie, go on home and don't say anything to Bert. I'll talk to Beaudry.
Thank you. I'll never forget it. Goodbye, Matt.
Chester.
Yes, sir. I'll be right there, Mr. Dillon. Did Miss Wells leave?
Yeah.
Fine couple of Wellses. Did you know them before they came out west?
Not Bert. I knew Mrs. Wells. I guess we better drop over to the Texas Trail, Chester. There's a fella in town planning to do some killing.
Matt, it's been a long time.
Hiya, Kitty.
Hello, Chester.
Miss Kitty?
Come sit down, Matt. Tell me about things.
I can't right now, Kitty. We're looking for a fella. Thought he might have come in here.
Sooner or later, they all do. Stranger, Matt?
Yeah. He came in on the morning train. His name's Ed Beaudry.
Oh, him. There, the bar, Matt. Third from the end, next to Tulsa Jim Nixon. He's buying Irish whiskey for everybody.
Thank you, Kitty. Come on, Chester.
Yes, sir.
Watch yourself, Matt.
Yeah, sure, Kitty. I'll see you later.
All right, bartender, set up another round of Jamesons for the house.
Your name, Beaudry?
Well, that's right, mister.
Matt Dillon. I'm a U.S. Marshal here. I'd like to talk to you.
Fine, go ahead and talk.
Tulsa, suppose you'll move on down the bar for a couple of minutes, huh?
No, what's the idea, Marshal? This man's a friend of mine.
You're not very particular about your friends. Now go on, Tulsa. Drift. Mr. Beaudry, you came here to kill Bert Wells, didn't you?
Did I?
Well, here's some advice. Don't do it. Take the next train and get out of town.
Is that official?
Just what's the charge, Marshal?
None. Yet. Murder if you go through it.
Well, not the way I understand it. Murder's one thing. Calling a man in a fair fight, that's another thing.
Beaudry, I'm the law here in Dodge, and I don't see it as a fair fight. Bert's a blacksmith, and he's not used to handling a gun. You are. Or so I'm told.
Who told you, Marshal? I don't know anybody here. Wait a minute. Dillon? Yeah. I heard Jeannie mention you. You knew her back in Louisville before she ran off.
We'll leave her out of this, Beaudry.
So that's it. This isn't official. You're just doing a personal favor for an old friend. Probably a very close friend. Jeannie always did have a weakness.
I warned you once. All right, hold it. Now get up, Beaudry.
That was a mistake, Dillon. Now I'll have to kill you, too.
I'm not a blacksmith, Beaudry.
I'll look you up just soon as I've finished with Bert Wells.
If you kill Bert, you won't have to look me up. Bert.
Huh? Oh, Matt. Didn't see you come in.
I wanted to talk to you, Bert.
About what, Matt?
Ed Beaudry's in town.
Beaudry. Well, it was bound to happen sometime. Has he been bothering Jeannie?
No, she just happened to see him get off the train this morning. She came and told me.
She shouldn't have done it, Matt. It's not your problem.
Maybe it is, Bert. I'm the law in Dodge, and the law doesn't like the idea of personal grudges ended up in a killing.
What do you aim to do?
Prevent it if I can.
Well, I wish you luck.
You haven't worn that gun for 2 years, Bert. Why start now?
I've got no choice, Matt. You know that.
You mean you got no chance? If you let Beaudry call a showdown, he'll kill you.
Maybe.
Look, Bert, why don't you take to the prairie, hole up for a week or so while I figure some way of running Beaudry out of town, huh?
Would you do it, Matt? Hide out and let somebody else do your fighting for you?
Well, what I'd
That's
do is...
beside the point, Bert.
Jeannie.
There's a law against killing. It's Matt's job to enforce it. If you went away, there wouldn't be any fight.
Wouldn't be much honor either, Jeannie. Man can't run and still call himself a man.
He can run from a mad dog, and that's what Ed Beaudry is. He never had any claim on me.
It appears he thought he did. Matt, you know where Beaudry stands?
I talked to him in the Texas Trail. He probably took one of the rooms upstairs.
Like to walk over there with me?
Well, if that's the way you want it.
No, Bert, you...
I'll get my hat. Be right with you.
Matt, you've got to stop it.
Yeah? How?
I don't know. But there must be something you can do.
Yeah, there is. The way it's shaping up, I can probably arrest the survivor. There's still time to turn back, Bert.
Afraid not, Matt. I should have had it out with Beaudry back there in Kentucky 5 years ago. Jeannie wanted to run away and avoid trouble, and she was so beautiful it was hard to argue with her.
Yeah, I know. Be hard on her if anything happened to you.
Life's always hard on a woman, I guess. Worse out here on the prairie. Look out for her, Matt, in case I mean if anything.
Mr. Dillon?
Huh? Oh, what is it, Chester?
Beaudry left the saloon a little while ago. Went over to the livery stable to hire a horse.
Oh?
I think he's riding out to your place, Mr. Wells. He's been doing a lot of talking.
Jeannie will be there alone, Matt. I better get back home.
Won't be necessary. Here comes Beaudry now.
I won't draw unless he does, Matt.
Heads up, Chester.
Yes, sir.
Oh, boy. Oh. Just riding out to call on you, Wells. I decided you'd had plenty of time to look me up.
No reason to, Beaudry.
Most men would figure they had reason. Somebody been in a local saloon, telling their wife's history.
Beaudry, you... All right, hold it. Don't draw, Bert. Chester, cover Beaudry.
Just keep your hands still, Mr. Beaudry.
You're fast with that gun, Dillon.
Fast enough, Mr.
You make
Beaudry.
a good bodyguard. Too bad you can't ride her 24 hours a day.
I told you what to expect if you keep pushing this thing, Mr. Beaudry. Now use some sense and get out of town while you're still alive.
I've been in lots of towns, Dillon. I left them all alive. Wells, I've been planning to kill you for 5 years.
Plans don't always work out.
Listen, Will. You got till sundown. After that, I'm going to shoot you on sight.
All right, Mr. Beaudry. If you've finished speaking your piece, move along.
Why, surely, Mr. Dillon. See you later.
Well, still a couple of hours before sundown. Think I'd like to spend them with Jeannie. I'll see you, Matt.
Yeah, sure. Goodbye, Bert.
I declare, I just can't see any way of stopping it, Mr. Dillon.
I can't either.
I'd sure hate to be in Bert Wells' shoes.
I'd hate worse to be in Beaudry's. He'll never submit to arrest. Chester, I'm going to have to kill him.
Why don't you relax, Matt? You're nervous as a cat.
Yeah, and I'll stay nervous, Kitty, until I find out what's happened to those two.
Beaudry slipped out the back way just at dusk. The piano player saw him.
Yeah. Well, Bert pulled the same trick. I had a couple of boys watching the blacksmith shop, but he managed to give them the slip.
There's nothing you can do now, Matt.
Well,
Another killing. And you in the middle again. Why, Matt? Why do you do it?
it's a job, Kitty. Somebody's got to do it.
But why you? There are other things in life if you look around for them.
Well, maybe I will someday.
Will you look my way, Matt?
Well, Matt, I brought my kit. I'm all prepared. Where are the victims?
No victims yet, Doc. You're jumping the gun.
Well, I understand it's going to be a real showdown. The boys at the bar are offering 2-1 on Beaudry.
That's about the odds I figure if the shooting really starts.
Oh, it'll start all right. Oh, there's not a thing in the world can stop it.
Chester, what are you doing in here? I told you to watch that street.
Yes, sir, I know you did.
The fight's as likely to start out there as any place else.
No, sir, Mr. Dillon. I guess there's not going to be any fight.
What?
They just found Beaudry lying in an alley down the block.
Matt.
Somebody sneaked up behind him with a hammer. He's sure dead.
We'll return for the second act of Gunsmoke in just a moment. But first, what is the connection between the statue in the square and a pair of thugs who are definitely not on the square with the law? Tonight on Gangbusters, hear the complete details of this exciting case taken from actual police files. Remember, it's Gangbusters later tonight on most of these same CBS radio stations. Don't miss it. Now, the second act of Gunsmoke.
showing around the house, Mr. Dillon.
No. Nor the shop either. He might have skipped out.
Well, what about his wife, though?
I don't know, Chester. I can't figure any of this. It's not like Bert to pull a sneaking trick like that.
Hold it. Don't move.
He's there by the tree, Chester.
Yes, sir.
Bert,
Who is it? Who's that?
Matt. Chester's with me. You better put away the gun.
All right, Matt. I thought it was somebody else.
Who, Bert?
You know who. Beaudry, of course.
Guess I better take your gun.
Official, Matt?
Official.
Well, I got no quarrel with the law. Here.
Thank you. Now, why did you do it?
What do you mean?
If it had been a gunfight, the law couldn't have touched you. The circumstances are all in your favor. But this way they'll call it murder, and they'll be right, because that's what it was.
Matt, what are you talking about?
It's no use. You left the hammer lying right beside his body. It's got your shop brand carved in the handle of it.
Whose body you talking about? You mean Beaudry?
Yeah, sure, Beaudry.
Matt, you're making a mistake. I went looking for Beaudry, yes, but I didn't find him. Then I come back here. I was afraid to leave Jeannie there in the house alone. I didn't do it, Matt. You're wrong.
It's not up to me, Bert. It's the court's job. All I can do is take you in. The evidence is too strong, and I got no choice.
No choice. I didn't have a choice either. We must have had a choice somewhere back down the line. When? Where was it we could have stopped and turned back?
I'm a marshal, not a philosopher. Now, let's go.
What about Jeannie? I got to tell her.
Chester will take care of it.
Be better if you do it, Matt. You're a friend. That'd make it easier.
I'd rather not if you don't mind. Now, come on, let's go. All right, Bert, step inside.
4 years we've been friends, Matt. I never thought it would come to this.
Neither did I.
You said you didn't find any money on him. It could have been robbery.
Or made to look like robbery. But either way, there's nothing I can do. Now, you better step inside. I'll bring you some blankets and tobacco. If you want anything else, let me know.
Wish I knew how Jeannie was taking it.
She'll be all right. She's a fine girl.
Matt, look out for her, will you?
Bert, a man's job is one thing, friendship's another. This prairie country is rough and tough and wild at the best. And without the law, nobody could survive in it. And that means putting friendship aside sometimes. But the man still doesn't forget. Yeah, I'll look out for her.
Thanks, Matt.
I'll see you later.
Well, you get your prisoner tucked in safely, Matt?
What about Beaudry?
He's dead. Absolutely dead. Like I never saw anybody any deader. Blacksmith hammer makes a mighty fine weapon.
Yeah, at least for sneaking up behind.
I can't figure Bert doing that's not like him.
Sometimes a man changes under pressure, Doc. Yeah, I can't figure it either.
What would you say his chances are?
Bad. Straws all point one way.
Yes, maybe somebody's been messing with the straw stack.
Who?
That's a good question, Matt.
The court will ask it.
Yeah, if he ever gets there.
What do you mean?
I just come from Texas Trail a while ago, and some of the boys are kind of riled up. They're talking real loose.
No law against talking.
Doubt if they aim to leave it at talking, Matt. They figure the evidence is a little on the weak side. a court might turn Bert loose. So they're saying it's up to them.
Yeah, they're just mad because they've lost their source of free drink.
Well, maybe so, but you better keep your eyes open, man.
Yeah, I know that pack, Doc. They hunt in the dark and pull down stragglers, and mostly they just talk. So don't worry. Bert's in jail, and that's where he's gonna stay.
Matt? Matt, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. Wait a minute, I'll light the lamp.
What were you doing sitting here in the dark?
Yeah, just thinking, wondering. You shouldn't have come here, Jeannie.
Matt, I want to see Bert.
No visitors after dark. It's a jail rule.
Rules don't have to be enforced.
Mine do. Bert's a prisoner, same as any other prisoner. He's charged with murder.
He didn't do it, Matt.
It's not for me to say.
But you know he didn't. You know Bert. You know he wouldn't do a thing like that. Sneak up behind a man's back in the dark.
I'm not the court, Jeannie.
I know. And they'll believe he did it.
Yeah, the night train's coming in. Hope it's not bringing in trouble.
The morning train did. Matt, I want to see Bert.
I told you that you... Why, you little fool. Give me the gun,
No.
Jeannie.
I warn you, Matt. Stay
Give
back.
me the gun.
No, Matt. So help me,
I said hand it over.
You knew I wouldn't shoot.
Yeah. Now, what did you hope to gain by
I
that?
don't know. Get Bert out. Maybe I don't know. None of this is his fault. Something's got to be done. Matt, you've got to help me.
Easy.
Mr. Dillon?
Yeah, what is it, Chester?
I just come from the Texas Trail. I think there's going to be some trouble.
Trouble?
The bunch that hangs out around there are doing a lot of drinking and talking up the idea of coming over here to the jail.
Oh, no.
Well, maybe we ought to go over there and do some talking ourselves. Jeannie, I think the best thing for you to do is to go back home and stay there till morning. Now, don't worry about this. Nothing's going to happen.
Oh, but, Matt, you can't handle that crowd alone.
I've been handling things alone for a long time. All right, Chester.
Tulsa Jim Nixon's the one who's been egging them on, Mr. Dillon. Over there at the end of the bar.
Yeah, he struck up an Acquaintance with Beaudry when he first got off the train. Guess he figures he's an old partner by now. Well, come on.
Yes, sir.
Matt, wait.
Later, Kitty, I got some business with the boys at the bar.
That's what I mean. Tulsa Jim's been buying them drinks for the last 2 hours. They're in a real nasty mood.
So?
So be careful, Matt. That's all. Just be careful.
Kitty, I'm the carefulest man you know.
Sure. We got the law here in Dodge. Supposedly. But what kind of a law is it that lets a man sneak up behind somebody in the dark and murder him in cold blood?
I don't know, Tulsa. Suppose you tell me.
Dillon.
Now, don't let me interrupt you. You were doing fine. Well, this is quite an audience you got. All the panhandlers, bums, and barflies in Dodge. It's quite a collection.
Well, calling names won't change the facts, Dillon.
What facts?
A friend of yours, Bert Wells, that sneaking, cowardly murderer.
That's for the court to decide, Tulsa.
The court. They'll turn him loose. They work hand in glove with you. Dillon, we're not going to stand for it.
All right, shut up! So you're not going to stand for it, huh? Well, just what are you planning to do?
You'll find out in due time, Dillon. Oh, I tend to set him up again all around.
Yeah, you've turned into quite a free spender, Tulsa. I never knew you to... A double eagle gold piece. You mind if I take a look at it?
It's good. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Where'd you get it?
That's my business, Dillon.
So you're the one who killed Baudry.
That's a lie.
I thought robbing him was just a cover-up, but it wasn't. There aren't many double eagles around Dodge. Baudry had a lot of them. Now you. Why would you get a pocket full of gold pieces, Tulsa?
Wells killed Baudry. The blacksmith hammer was lying right beside him.
Yes, where you left it.
What does she mean?
Tulsa Jim came into my husband's shop late this afternoon. His horse had thrown a shoe. He had plenty of chance to steal that hammer.
She's lying.
Where did you get the gold, Tulsa?
A lie. I won it in the poker game last week when the trail herd would...
Tulsa, you're under arrest for murder.
Oh. No, you'll never take me! Get down!
All right, Doc. You better get up an inquest.
Confound it, Matt. You never give me any chance to practice on live people.
You wouldn't know what to do with them, Doc.
Well, I do get fewer complaints this way.
Matt, does this mean that Bert's free?
You shouldn't have come here, Jeannie. Yeah, he's free. Chester will go with you over to the jail and let him out.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you for everything. You told me one time in Louisville that...
Louisville? That was a long time ago and a long way off. So, goodbye, Jeannie.
Goodbye, Matt.
What's it all about, Matt?
What? What's anything all about, Kitty? Professor, what do you say we'll just have a little tune, huh?
Why, sure thing, Mr. Dillon. What'd you like to hear?
Oh, how about that one of Foster's, Jeannie? Jeannie with the light brown hair.
You bet.
You knew her before, didn't you, Matt?
Yeah, I met her in Louisville one summer. Saw her quite a lot for a couple of months. And then I drifted out west.
A man misses out on things by drifting.
I told her then if she ever needed help to call on me.
Well, she called, and you helped her.
Yeah, I guess. Anyway, that's that.
Matt,
Yeah. Yeah, Kitty.
when are you going to help yourself?
Gunsmoke, under the direction of Norman MacDonald, stars William Conrad as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal. Tonight's story was specially written for Gunsmoke by Les Crutchfield, with music composed and conducted by Rex Corey. Featured in our cast were Tom Tully, Lynn Allen, Larry Dobkin, Georgia Ellis, and Barney Phillips. Parley Bear as Chester, and Howard McNear as Doc. Join us again next week as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal, fights to bring law and order out of the wild violence of the West in Gunsmoke. What are the tunes most people like best? For the answer to that question, listen to Robert Q. Lewis's Waxworks later tonight over most of these same CBS radio stations. Stay tuned now for Broadway is My Beat, which follows immediately over most of these same radio stations. Roy Rowan speaking. On a Sunday afternoon, the music's delightful on the CBS Radio Network. around Dodge City and in the territory on west, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers, and that's with a U.S. Marshal and the smell of Gunsmoke. Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad. The story of the violence that moved west with young America. The story of a man who moved with it. Matt Dillon, United States Marshal.
Oh, boy. Oh. Wild Hog? Wild Hog, that's you? Wild Hog, you there? Who are you? Put that spear down. Listen, Wild Hog and me are friends, big friends.
You'll make much noise.
You're Cheyenne, ain't you? You must be with Wild Hog.
What name, you white man?
I'm Ord Spicer. Ord Spicer, you hear? You bother me and you'll be in big trouble with Wild Hog.
No trouble.
Tell these other redskins to put their spears down. I need more room.
Come, white man.
Are you with Wild Hog or ain't you?
Much talk, come.
All right. Any tricks, I'll shoot you first. No one around here. Where is he?
Horse here, you walk.
Oh, blasted, why can't he ride out like anybody else? I want to be in Dodge tonight.
Come.
Wild Hog? It's me. It's Ord Spicer, all right.
Yes.
These braves of yours sure keep you covered. Can't tell one from another, except you, of course. I even thought maybe I'd run into the wrong Indians.
No moon tonight.
Oh, I recognized them as Cheyennes, all right, but you never know with...
With what, Spicer?
Nothing, Wild Hog. Forget it.
You never know with Indians.
Now, Wild Hog, you and me are friends. Don't get so touchy. I didn't mean nothing.
We are not friends. I pay you. That is all.
Sure we're friends. You're about the most educated Indian I ever met, that's why.
I learn only English from the white man. Nothing else.
Well, you sure had a good teacher, fella.
General Custer, many bitter moons ago. I was a scout.
Don't matter. I never heard of him.
He was killed.
Well, that's nothing to do with me. You got the money, Wild Hog?
Yes. Here. $500.
500. Our deal was for 1,000.
You will get the rest later.
But I'm running a big risk for you Cheyennes. This is mighty dangerous work, Wild Hog.
It will be even more dangerous if we do not meet again, Spicer.
Oh, Wild Hog, you can trust me. I'll be back, you know that.
Yes. When?
Ooh, 2-3 days.
Where'll I find you?
Make camp near here. We'll find you.
Okay. I'll get on into Dodge now. Goodbye, Wild Hog.
Don't get drunk, Spicer.
Never touch it. Hey, bartender, set out another bottle of whiskey for me and my friend.
What'd you say you're called, stranger?
Ord Spicer, friend.
Mm-hmm.
Here, let me fill your glass. Some town you got here, Dodge.
You're sure easy with your money, Spicer.
Nothing's too good for my friend. Say, what name you go by anyway?
You got a lot of money, Spicer.
Sure, I got money. I'll have more soon.
You must have hit it rich, huh?
Sure, I hit it rich. Easy money, friend. Easy money.
How'd you do it, Spicer, anyway?
Friend, I live like a gambler. My life's chicken one day and feathers the next. Right now, it's all chicken.
Yeah, but how'd you do it? You made out real good, Spicer.
Brains and guts, friend. Brains and guts. That's all it takes.
I know, but how? You don't get money like that robbing old Indians.
What's that?
Huh?
What'd you say about Indians?
Oh, it's just a way of saying it back home. Don't get on the pride about it.
Maybe you talk too much. Maybe you ask too many questions.
Hey, what's the matter with you anyway?
Maybe you know too much.
Look, Spicer, if you're hiding something, don't trouble yourself. I ain't interested in you or your money or your liquor.
I don't like that.
You don't have to.
You bet I don't.
Keep your eyes right on mine, Spicer. I want to watch you die. Spicer.
How's our prisoner, Chester?
I got two, Mr. Dillon.
You got two?
Yes, sir. There's that Ord Spicer fella you locked up, and then there's a drunk who tried to buffalo me after you went to bed.
No? Did you have any trouble with him?
A little, Mr. Dillon. He tried to hit me on the head with his 6 gun.
Well, you look all right.
Oh, he didn't do it, sir. I bit his thumb and kneed him at the same time.
Well, that's quite a trick, Chester. You must have been practicing.
No, sir, I haven't been practicing. But I had it all thought out.
I see. All right, let's turn Spicer loose.
I'll go get him, Mr. Dillon.
About time. Where's my gun, Marshal?
There it is, Spicer. And, don't use it around here anymore.
You can't bother a man for self-defense.
I just want you to stay out of Dodge. 1 kill at your limit here, even in self-defense.
I ain't afraid of you, Marshal. Besides, this is a poor town anyways. You can have it.
My, that man would kick a hog barefooted.
He sure would, Chester.
There's something real bad about him.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, Chester, and I hope I don't have to find out.
Well, we'll go away. Fellas like that gotta keep moving. Seems like nobody wants him.
Now, don't feel sorry for him, Chester. He got that way all by himself.
Yes, sir. I mean, no, sir.
Morning, Marshal.
Those graders get here yet, Jack?
Yep. Come in on the Santa Fe yesterday, Marshal. 4 of them. Right back here.
Oh, good.
Beautiful guns, ain't they? Just beautiful.
You're a good storekeeper, Jack, but I only need 2 of them.
Well, I can make you a good price on all 4, Marshal.
Well, it wouldn't be any good if I don't need 4, would it?
Well, maybe not, but I never know. I got half a dozen 44 Sharps rifles, same shipment. Thought I'd be stuck with them forever. Well, with the big 50 out now, there ain't a Buffalo hunter that uses a 44 anymore.
I don't see any 44s.
Well, that's just what I'm telling you. Feller stopped in just this morning, took all 6. Paid me $75 a piece, too.
You sold 6 rifles to one man?
That's right, Marshal.
Is he a buffalo hunter?
Looked more like a drifter to me. Had plenty of cash, though.
You know his name?
No idea. Nothing wrong with it, was there, Marshal? Been a holdup around here I haven't heard about?
No. Just a lot of rifles for one man to buy.
No law again it, is there?
What'd this man look like, Jack?
Tall, skinny, kind of mean face.
Mm-hmm. You wear a 1.6 gun with black grips?
Yeah. Come to think of it, he did. You know him?
Yeah. Ord Spicer. He killed a man last night.
Well, now I heard about that shooting. What do you suppose he's up to now?
Where'd he go?
I wouldn't know it. Packed the rifles on a mule and rode out of town. You going after him, Marshal?
No. It's like you say, Jack. There's no law against a man buying all the rifles he wants. Seems strange, that's all. Well, let's settle on the price for those greeners, huh? Next day, Chester and I took the new greeners and rode out for a prairie chicken. We had a sack full within an hour, and we headed back to town, arguing on the way as to whether we'd bake the birds whole or just cut the breasts off and broil them. We still hadn't settled the matter when we reached Dodge, and we never did. The stage from Hayes City had arrived half-hour before, bringing with it the bodies of 2 men found alongside the road.
They were just laying there, Marshal, about 5 miles back. Both shot dead, but I thought I'd better bring them in anyway.
Did you recognize them, Pete?
No, Marshal, I didn't. The doc says they're a couple of riders from the T-Bar outfit.
Yeah.
He got them up in his office now.
You bring in their horses?
No sign of a horse, but there was an awful lot of tracks around.
All right. I'll go see if Doc's found anything. Hang around, Pete, will you? I may want some more information from you.
Okay if I do my waiting at the Alfraganza, Marshal?
Yeah, sure.
I'll put our horses up, Mr. Dillon.
Yours, Chester. I may want mine.
Yes, sir.
Oh, hello, Marshal. Just finishing up here. Be right with you.
How'd they die, Doc?
Well, they got half shot and then shot dead, Marshal.
Yeah, I know, but is there any way of telling if maybe they killed each other?
That does it. No, there is, Marshal, but I'd be mighty surprised if they did.
Now, what do you mean, Doc?
Well, they were cowboys, Marshal. Cowboys just don't generally carry buffalo guns. Here, take a look.
What?
I dug some of these out of each of them. Those are slugs from a Sharps rifle, Marshal.
Yeah, sure are.
Mm-hmm. That one's the best I found right there.
What caliber did you say this is, Doc?
Oh, I'd guess 44.
44 Sharps.
Mm-hmm. Not many 44s in use around here since the big 50 came around.
I know a man with 6 of them, Doc.
What do you think of that?
I'll let you know when I get back. So long, Doc.
We will return for the second act of Gunsmoke in just a moment. But first, behind the famous creaking door to Inner Sanctum tomorrow evening, there lies one of the most hair-raising tales to date. Meet Raymond, your host on Inner Sanctum tomorrow night on most of these same CBS radio stations. Now, the second act of Gunsmoke.
The stage driver rode with me back to where he'd found the bodies, and from there I rode on alone. was an easy trail at first. There must have been more than a dozen horses running together. Long toward dusk, however, they suddenly split up, and I was faced with two different trails to follow. Made a gambler's choice and rode harder than ever. There was only an hour of light left to track by when my horse stepped into a prairie dog hole, snapped his leg, and went over hard. My head glanced off a rock. There was a shower of light, and nothing.
That's him, all right. That's Dillon. He's a marshal at Dodge, I told you that.
I think he is not dead. Stop. Put away your gun.
But you can't let him live. He'd kill us, all right. I'm going to kill him anyway.
You die for it if you do.
Okay. You're the boss. But you'll wish I'd shot him.
He's coming to now. We take care of him our own way. White Cloud, pick up his guns.
Yeah, he isn't hurt. Just knocked out, that's all.
Indians. Cheyennes.
I'm no Indian, Marshal.
Spicer. Yeah. Sure.
No tricks now, Marshal. These redskins will shoot you to pieces.
Yeah. Are those new Sharps 44s you bought them, huh, Spicer?
It's no business of yours, Marshal. Not now. You're through. You're all the way through.
Spicer, you're under arrest.
Time to make some money.
What?
I said you're under arrest.
Sure feels good. It wasn't easy.
No, Marshal, what are you arresting me for? Not that it matters much.
For selling guns to Indians and on suspicion of murder.
All right, so I'm under arrest, but, Marshal, I want to ask you something.
Yeah.
How are you going to take me in, that's all? Just how are you going to manage it?
I'll worry about that.
You sure will. Come on, Wild Hog, let's shoot him and get it over with.
This is a man of much heart. I admire his courage. To stand with death on all sides and arrest a man. No, we will not kill him. Not yet.
But you can't take him with us.
White Cloud, give him a horse. Come.
They gave me a horse, all right, with the T-Bar brand on it. But I was surrounded by 6 armed Indians and a no-good white who'd shoot me any time he thought he could get by with it. Wild Hog rode up ahead, leading the party northwest, apparently to rendezvous with a bunch that had split off from this one. Spicer stayed right alongside of me.
Well, am I still under arrest, Marshal?
You're still guilty, aren't you?
Sure. I'll admit it. Don't matter, being as how you'll never see Dodge again or any other place.
What are you doing with these Cheyennes here anyway, Spicer?
I got a deal with Wild Hog, Marshal. Real good deal.
Killing white men, part of it?
They don't need any help there, Marshal. They like to kill white men.
Maybe they'll kill you before they're through.
No, I'm too valuable to them. They like me.
No? Now, why would they like you?
Well, they didn't at first, but I talked them into it. Talked Wild Hog into it. He's a smart fella, that Indian. Saw right away what I could do for him. Like buying those rifles.
What else did you do for him?
Well, I stopped those 2 riders with the horses. Told them I was sick. Got them off guard. Those Cheyennes were on before they could move. It was real easy.
You're kind of like a Judas sheep in a slaughter pen, huh?
Yeah, that's it, Marshal. Pays better, though. I got $500 coming since we find a ranch or 2 to raid.
I see.
Pretty good deal, huh?
You know, I think a lot more of these Indians than I do of you, Spicer.
I don't like that, Marshal.
At least they got an argument on their side. But you're just a renegade white.
I'll kill you for that, Marshal.
Now, shut up.
All right, you've asked for it.
Shoot me and Wild Hog will split you wide open, Spicer. Besides, he's spotted the rest of his party up there.
Huh? Oh, yeah. All right for now, Marshal. but I'll see you dead. I promise I'll see you dead.
I was still alive 2 days later when we crossed the Smoky Hill River about 100 miles northwest of Dodge. There were 15 Cheyennes in the party. And day and night, 2 of them, by turns, never took their eyes off of me. They seemed anxious for an excuse to cut my throat. And I had to watch every movement I made. It looked pretty hopeless. Wild Hog was smart, and he took no chances. But often he and I rode along together, though always flanked by my 2 warrior guards.
Country is greener already. Better every mile.
Why have you been raiding so far south, Wild Hog, if you like this land better?
We are northern Cheyenne, Marshal, in the Bighorn Mountains. The Army took us south to a reservation in the Oklahoma Territory.
Oh, so that's it. You jumped your reservation, huh?
Why should we live in a hot, flat land that has no game?
But the Army will be after you again. You've broken the law.
Whose law? Ours or yours?
All right, Wild Hog. But the Indian has a law against murder. You've broken that twice that I know of.
Cheyenne does not speak of it as murder to kill his enemy.
Those cowboys weren't your enemy, Wild Hog. They weren't fighting you.
The Army drove us from our home in the mountains. The Army took our horses from us. We are going back home now on other horses, that's all.
That doesn't explain your killing. Those men were peaceful.
Marshal, if I could, I would kill every white man in the country. But I cannot. The Indian nations cannot. The red man has always fled before the white man.
Those cowboys weren't chasing you?
We needed their horses.
They didn't even have a chance to fight. You tricked them.
Is it only the white man who is allowed to trick his enemy? I was young once, Marshal, but I have seen too much trickery and lies and destruction and broken promises.
I'll admit that's happened, Wild Hog. But you know, not every man is a liar and a killer.
No. There are white men like you. And there are white men like Spicer.
Spicer? Tell me something. Would you consider Ord Spicer guilty of murder?
The Indian is Spicer's enemy, not his own people. Therefore, it is murder.
Then you understand why it's Spicer I came after, and not you.
Why not me, Marshal?
You're the Army's problem, not mine.
I expect to fight the Army many times before we reach the mountains.
Yeah. What are your plans for me, Wild Hog?
I have been thinking.
Yeah?
I do not know yet.
Well, what about Spicer?
Spicer works for me. Why should I think about him?
Then you're not as smart as I figured.
All right, Marshal. I do not trust Spicer. He is a traitor to his own people and only for money. I have rifles now and enough horses. I do not need Spicer.
You're going to kill him?
Why not? He is only another white man.
You said yourself you can't kill all the white men.
If you were free, Marshal, you would take him back and let other white men kill him. What difference how he dies?
Makes a difference to me, Wild Hog. I'm a lawman.
I may have to kill you, too.
You're a hard man to be friends with.
I will explain to you, Marshal. It matters little about any Indian. Few more winters and not many of my people will be alive. I do not complain of our fate. Tribe follows tribe, nation follows nation. It is the law of nature. The white man's turn to be defeated and to disappear will come. It is just a matter of time. And so we may be brothers after all, Marshal.
I'm not sure I believe all of that, Wild Hog.
Of course not. Still, I recognize you as a warrior among your people, as I am a warrior among mine.
Too bad we're not on the same side.
As long as we are brave and willing to die, does not matter. I ride ahead now. You stay with the others.
That night, we reached the North Fork of the Solomon River and camped with the shadow of low hills not many miles ahead. Wild Hog ordered my guards to keep me some distance from the rest of the party. So I pulled up some buffalo grass and bedded down on it early. I watched the stars until sleep came. Next thing I heard was the sound of horses fading off in the distance. The two braves guarding me had disappeared, so I got up and walked carefully back to where the Cheyennes were camped. There, a couple of horses stood tied to a bush, but they were alone. The Indians had left. I stopped for a moment to listen. And then, suddenly, I saw the figure of a man lying in the moonlight about 20 feet off. Spicer? Spicer? Yeah, there's no blood on you. You're all right. Come out of it, man. Come on.
Yeah. My hair.
You've been knocked out, that's all. Now, come on, sit up.
Oh, it's you, Marshal. What happened? Where are they? Where's Wild Hog?
They've gone.
Gone? Gone where? Here, let me... Where'd they go?
They've been headed for the Bighorn Mountains. Less chance of running into the army if they travel at night.
But they couldn't leave me. Not here. Not now.
Looks like they did. Some brave clubbed you and they rode off, that's all.
But I gotta go with them.
You're still groggy, Spicer. And you're still under arrest. Remember?
You can't take me in, Marshal. Wild Hog will be back. He won't let you.
Why do you think he left you here, Spicer?
We're friends. Big friends, me and Wild Hog.
You got no friends. You don't belong in anybody's camp. And I'm taking you back to Dodge anyway.
That murdering redskin.
He's a better man than you, Spicer. He's brave and he's willing to die. Now, come on, we got a long ride back.
Gunsmoke, under the direction of Norman MacDonald, stars William Conrad as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal. Tonight's story was specially written for Gunsmoke by John Meston, with music composed and conducted by Rex Corey. Featured in tonight's cast were Harry Bartell, Larry Dobkin, Herb Vigran, and Jack Crucian. Harley Bayer is Chester, and Howard McNear is Dark. Join us again next week as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal, fights to bring law and order out of the wild violence of the West in Gunsmoke. Remember, every Saturday night on CBS Radio, Tarzan brings you startling new adventures. Listen for Gold of the Sudan later this evening. Lancy Cassell speaking. And remember, Robert Q's Waxworks brings you the top records and recording artists on the CBS Radio Network.
around Dodge City and in the territory on West, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers. And that's with a U.S. Marshal and the smell of Gunsmoke. Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad. The story of the violence that moved west with young America. The story of a man who moved with it. Matt Dillon, United States Marshal.
There. Report's finished, Mr. Dillon.
Good. You better go on home now, Chester. It's getting late.
Yes, sir. Oh, what about these new Dodgers?
I'll just leave them there. I'll look them over.
What's the matter, Mr. Dillon?
We got company at the back door.
Yeah.
All right, come in, mister. Get in, I said.
Get your paws off of me.
What? A girl.
Sure, I'm a girl. What do you think I am?
Well, put that long rifle away and I'll tell you. Where'd you get that thing, anyway?
Pappy brought it with him from Kentucky, if it's any of your business, which it ain't by a darn sight.
Uh-huh. What you doing hanging around in the alley?
Get rid of him there, and we'll jaw about it.
Huh? I see. Chester. Good night.
Hmm? Well, but I'm not going to... Yes, sir. Good night, Mr. Dillon. My gracious.
You Marshal here?
That's right, miss.
My name's Hannah. Hannah Tolman. You arrest folks, don't you?
Well, if they've committed a crime, yeah.
Uh-huh. Well, then I got somebody for you to arrest.
Oh, who?
Pappy.
Why?
'Cause I said to, that's why. And somebody's been trying to kill him. I figure about the safest place for him is in jail.
Wait a minute, slow down. Let's start at the beginning, huh?
A few days ago, Pappy was bushwhacked up in the hills near our place.
Oh? Was he hurt?
No. Slug just bounced off in his head a little. Yesterday, the bushwhacker tried again. He missed.
Sounds like a bad shot.
Sure. But if he keeps trying, he may get lucky. So you put Pappy in jail until I can run down this ambushing gent, okay?
Do you plan to cross guns with him yourself?
I may be a girl, but I was barking squirrels while you was still trying to dent a tin can.
Well, you better let me take care of it, miss. And as for your father, I can't jail him without a charge.
Sure, I know that. What kind of a charge do you want?
Well, what kind do you have?
Well, most any, I reckon. Ain't it enough that he's drunk all the time?
Well, I can hold him overnight on that.
What if he shoots up the town?
And that's 5 days for disturbing the peace.
That'll do.
Well, where did he do this shooting?
We ain't. Yet. He's down at the Elephant slopping up booze with that other old buzzard Jingle Bob.
Oh, the Swamper?
Yeah, that's the one. You'd best be somewheres around the saloon in a few minutes. I got a feeling Pappy's about due to bust the law again.
Her story didn't make much sense, but there was something about the mountain girl's gleaming black eyes and the set of her pretty but stubborn face that made me go to the Alafraganza. At the bar, I ordered a glass of rye and watched two bewhiskered old-timers trying to outlie each other over a rapidly emptying bottle.
Yes, Jingle Bob. You just wait and see. Ed Tolman's gonna have the biggest darn horse ranch in Kansas come spring.
Sure you are, absolutely. And me, why, I reckon I'll just buy up this here saloon.
Oh, you're lying.
Well, sure I am. Ain't you?
What's my money was spending, ain't it? How many times I gotta tell you I'm getting rich?
Pappy, are you drunk?
If I ain't, I've been wasting a sight of time. Now leave me alone, daughter. Go home where you belong.
I'm going. Only come over to tell you, a man bet me $10 you couldn't shoot out that lamp on the first shot.
What's that? Oh, give me that rifle.
All right, hold on. That's enough of that.
Stay back, son.
What?
Now, go collect your $10, daughter.
Yeah, Pappy. But I think the marshal here's a fixin' to arrest you.
Huh?
Ain't you, Marshal?
Yeah, I guess I am. All right, come along, Jed. Come on.
What? Get your hands
Come
off me. What? I never... You jailing a man for having a little fun. Why, you'd never get away with this back in Kentucky.
Jed, you're in trouble, aren't you? Who's trying to kill you?
No, I reckon that's my business.
Now, that's the law's business.
I'll take care of myself, Marshal.
Uh-huh. Back in the saloon there, you mentioned having money and getting more.
So?
From what I've heard, you and your daughter run a 2-bit horse ranch up in the hills. That hardly figures to make you rich.
So?
You thick-headed old... Look, all I'm doing is trying to save your skin if it's in danger. Now, why don't you help me instead of being...
Reckon I don't wanna.
Well, that's plain enough. Morning, Chester.
Morning, Mr. Dillon. You better take a look at this new Dodger.
Huh? Wanted for robbery and murder? Vic Tolman. So that murderous gun hawk is loose again, huh?
Broke out of prison last week.
Yeah.
If he's kin to Jed Tolman, he'll likely be heading this way.
Yeah, likely. I'll give you a hunch, Chester. I think he's here already.
You do? You know where he is?
No, not exactly. But I expect Hannah Tolman may have an idea. And that's where I'm heading.
Now, that's what I like to see. A man-sized appetite.
This wonderful corn pone.
I'm a good cook. Been cooking for Pappy ever since Ma died 10 years ago.
Huh? You take pretty good care of him.
Somebody has to. Pappy's kind of shiftless. Reckon he'd starve if I didn't feed him. Only things he cares about are wild horses and booze. In a pinch, he'd give up horses.
You know, you're quite a woman, Hannah. You're pretty, brave, and with more courage than most men I know.
Too quick, Marshal.
What?
You're sweetening me up for some reason. Not that I mind, you understand. I'm partial to a strapping fella like you. And Pappy's always after me to get hitched up. Says it ain't fitting for me to be 22 without a man.
Oh, you're still young.
Not the mountain folk. I'm an old maid. And I'm agreeable for some sweet talk. Only I don't trust yours. What are you after, Marshal?
All right, Hannah. I only want the truth.
About what?
Where's your father getting this money he's spending?
I wish I knew.
Who shot at him?
I don't know, but I'm aiming to find out.
Where's Vic? Where's he hiding, Hannah?
Who?
Vic Tolman, your brother. Or maybe he's your cousin.
Brother.
Where?
I don't know.
Hannah, be sensible. Vic's a murderer.
Vic's my kin. We Tolmans don't turn on each other.
If you shelter him, you're guilty of...
Marshal, I reckon you just wore out your welcome.
The prisoner will stand up and face me. Jed Tolman, you've been found guilty of disturbing the peace. Sentence of this court is 5 days in jail or $100.
100? Well, Judge, ain't that a mite steep just for...
$100 for 5 days.
I ain't got that much on me. But I can get it if you let me go.
Just a minute.
Order in the court. Now, what's the meaning of this interruption?
I want to pay this man's fine, Your Honor.
That's your privilege, sir. $100. Pay the clerk.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Dick Curry. Somebody's been turning over rocks.
Well, I don't know him, but he's sure a friend. Looks like I ain't going with you, Marshal.
Yeah, looks like. But in your boots, I wouldn't be happy. Curry's one of the worst killers yet unhung.
Oh, Matt, is that a way to talk about me? I'm clear with the law. Come on, Mr. Tolman.
Go ahead, Jed. And, say hello to Vic for me.
Vic? No. Mr. Curry. Is that true?
What's the difference who put up the 100? Come on.
No. No, not if it's Vic. No, you can't make me.
I said come on.
Marshal, don't let him take me.
Oh, shut up and come on before
Curry.
Stay out of this, Marshal.
I don't think so. You paid his fine. You didn't buy him.
He's going with me, Matt. Don't try to stop me.
I can't imagine anything that'll give me more pleasure.
You don't like living, do you?
Very much. Now, just any time you feel like it.
No. Not here, Matt. I'll pick my spot.
Yeah. I'll try not to turn my back on any dark alleys.
Do that. And Tolman, I'll be seeing you again.
We'll return for the second act of Gunsmoke in just a moment. But first, strength against aggression calls for guns, tanks, planes, and explosives in tremendous quantity. It calls for other things, too. Moral strength, based on equality of opportunity for all, and economic strength, which today can be based only on continued high output of civilian goods. America must produce, as she never has before, war material, civilian goods, and democracy. Only an all-out effort in all three directions will give us security against aggression. Now the second act of Gunsmoke.
Some stud, Marshal? Why don't we play while we wait?
No thanks, Jingle Bob. You needn't wait with us.
Jed's my friend, Mr. Dillon.
Sure.
Maybe I can't help him none, but at least I can share whatever the trouble is. Understand?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Jed here is a lying old ringtail drunk, but me, well, when a man is down to scrubbing saloon floors just to get the liquor that'll keep his nerves from shaking apart, he's grateful for any friendship that's offered.
Don't move. Curry, get his gun.
Sure thing.
You recognize me, Mark?
Yeah, let's have it.
Yeah. Vic Tolman. There are Dodgers out on you.
You're a cool one, Dillon. Too bad we're on opposite sides of the fence.
Yeah, it's too bad. Real pity. Now I'm going to enjoy this job.
What job?
Well, don't you know? Vic's taking his paw away from you. But you won't mind. You'll be dead.
Curry, you stick here and take care of these two. Jed and I'll go on ahead.
Oh, son, I don't want to go nowhere.
Now, Paul, don't rile me. You're going with me.
None of you are going anyplace, Vic. Check.
What? Well, reach high, both of you, and let go of that hardware.
Now, you better do as he says. Because Chester's a little nervous with that shotgun.
There's mine.
Looks like the odds are with you, so...
You might as well get rid of that spare in your boot, Vic, before you run into any temptations.
You got sharp eyes, Marshal. The law gets a lot of backing up tonight.
Your mistake, Vic. Sometimes people just don't give Chester enough credit.
Chow time. Beefsteak, fried potatoes, stewed corn. Marshal, I must say you run a nice jail, don't he, Curry? Don't mind Curry. He's a little depressed about last night. You still run a nice jail. Something on your mind, Marshal?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a couple of things.
Such as?
Oh, such as your father spending money he hasn't earned, claiming to know where he can get more.
Pa's sure a terrible liar.
Mm-hmm. Such as him getting shot at twice and refusing to talk about it. Or help me investigate.
Pa's a little bashful, too.
Yeah. Such as his being afraid of you.
I guess Pa's getting old, little dottery.
Yeah. Then, of course, there's you.
Well, now you're on my favorite subject. Go on.
Well, you're a killer and a thief. But you're cool and smart. Smart enough to educate yourself.
Had lots of time to read in the pen. Lots of time.
You're going to have more. But not much more. Because you're going to hang for those guards that you killed.
Maybe. Curry, ain't you going to eat that?
Mm-mm.
Now, go on about me being smart.
You're smart enough to know the most dangerous place for you to go after you escaped was here.
Well, it looks like I ain't as smart as you think.
It depends on what reason you had for risking coming here.
Boy, that's sure good coffee. First jail I was ever in where the coffee was fit to drink.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, Marshal. Now, just what was my reason?
Reason was money.
Money?
Cash. It's the only thing that'd give you a chance to get out of the country. You're in for robbery as well as murder. How much of the loot was recovered?
You know how it is, Marshal. Easy come, easy go. I spent it as fast, well, nearly as fast as I got it.
So nothing was recovered, huh?
No, it was all gone.
It was all hidden, you mean? Hidden until Jed found it.
Paul?
Sure. That's his source of money. It's also why he was afraid to go with you.
Like I said, too bad we're on opposite sides. You got brains and you use them.
You want to fill in the details for me?
I'll tell you this. You're right about my cash and money. I'd had it and be on my way to Mexico by now if Paul hadn't switched hiding places on me. You know, it hurts. Paul's turning against me.
Yeah. The Tolmans always stick together. Except when money's involved.
How about you, Marshal? Money by you? Sky's the limit.
I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Well, I figure not. Well, been a nice chat. Want to take you straight? Hurry, give me a hand.
All right, back up, Curry. That's it. And tell Vic when he wakes up to take it easy. Or he won't live to be hung. Hey, Jingle Bob. You seen Jed?
Sorry, Marshal. I don't know where Jed is. Been looking for him myself. Golly, I'm cold.
He must have left town last night.
Ain't you cold?
I got an old jacket you can have.
I'd rather have a shot. Better steal 2 shots.
You got the jumps?
Always got 'em, except when I'm full of booze. Funny, you won't believe it, but there was a time when I couldn't stand the taste of hard liquor. Made me sick. No, can't live without it.
Yes, you can.
Well, maybe, let's say I don't want to.
Let's say that... Here.
Huh?
Go buy yourself a drink.
Hey, that's enough for a whole bottle. Well, thanks. See you later, Marshal.
Supper time, Chester. Chester. Chester, you all right? The prisoners?
Gone. Hannah Tolman slipped him a gun. They made me open up the cell, and Vic slugged me.
Well, I know where they'll go.
Please, Mr. Dillon, take me along. It was my fault they escaped.
All right, Chester. Ask Doc to put a quick patch on that head, and we'll go after him. Together.
Starting to get dark.
Yeah.
Why'd we leave the road back there?
I wanted to reach that rise, Chester.
But we circled around to come up the back side. Does that have something to do with you bringing binoculars?
Yeah, it does. Vic Tolman will know he'll be followed. I want to see what kind of a surprise he has for us. All right, pull up. You wait here.
See anything?
No. Not yet. Now, wait. I know now. Yeah, it's Curry, all right. He's holed up in some brush just beyond the turn in the road down there.
Well, what do we do, Mr. Dillon?
Take the horses and circle back the way we came. Start up the road, but don't make the turn.
I understand.
Now, be sure. As long as you don't make the turn, you'll be safe. But, I do want you to make some noise.
Noise?
Yeah, I want you to sing, whistle, throw rocks, anything. Just so long as it holds Curry's attention. It was slow work, crawling down through the brush, but finally I was only 10 feet behind Curry's position. The gunman was holding a rifle trained on the turn. And out of sight, coming up the road, I could hear Chester. Well, he wasn't good, but he was loud.
Going around that turn, blast you.
All right, don't turn around, Curry. What? You may have a point, but I like Chester, bad singing and all. Now lay the rifle aside and unbuckle your gun belt. Now, careful.
Yeah, sure. Only don't shoot.
Okay. Chester! Chester!
I didn't mean no harm. I was only going to scare him.
Yeah. Now, where's Vic?
At the Tolman house. Waiting for Jed to show up.
Uh-huh. All right, put your hands behind your back. I'm going to tie you up and leave you here.
What? Leave me here?
Yeah, we'll pick you up on the way back to town. It was dark when Chester and I were moving through the trees up to the Tolman shack. There was a light in the front, and through a window we could see the figure of Hannah Tolman moving around.
Just a girl.
Yeah, Vic's there. He just stand out of sight so Jed won't be scared off. Uh-oh.
She's coming out. Heading this way.
Yeah, there must be a well out here. She's carrying a bucket. Yeah, behind that tree quick, and I'll take this one.
What do you think you're...
All right, now quiet down. We're not going to hurt you. Stop fighting. Chester, grab her legs quick.
Yes, sir.
I was saving these handcuffs for Vic, but I guess they'll do for you. There. Now, do you promise to be quiet, or do we gag you? All right, have it your way. Chester, give me your bandana.
Yes, sir. Here.
Yeah, that should do it. All right, stay with her, Chester. I'm going for Vic. I was halfway to the shack when inside Vic Tolman became suspicious. Suddenly the lights went out, and the door opened, and a shadowy figure slipped out to stand, listening.
Anna? Anna, answer me.
Drop him, Vic.
Who is that? I can't see.
Matt Dillon. Throw down those guns. You're under arrest.
Not this time.
Vic.
You were right, Marshal. I ain't gonna live to hang.
Vic.
Mr. Dillon, over here.
Hey, what is it, Chester? Who's that, Jed?
Yes, sir.
I caught him sneaking towards the house. He was carrying this bag.
Here, let me see. That's the money.
I was taking it to Vic. Is he...
Yeah. You're too late, Jed.
Oh, no. To give him his money. If only he hadn't taken them shots at me.
He didn't. Until he found out where the money was hidden, he was the last person in the world to want you dead.
But, I don't understand. He must have...
No. Only the person who knew where you had the money would have shot at you.
Nobody knew that. How could they? Who
you
could...
talk a lot when you get drunk, Jed. You only get drunk with one person.
Huh? You mean Jingle Bob?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember. I was bragging. Told him all about finding it and switching hiding places. Why, that low-down snake. And him pretending to be my friend.
Come on, Jed. I'll help you bury Vic. Then we'll get back to Dodge.
We Tolmans sure have had a bad week.
Gunsmoke, under the direction of Norman Macdonnell, stars William Conrad as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal. Tonight's story was specially written for Gunsmoke by Herb Purdom, with music composed and conducted by Rex Corey. Featured in tonight's cast were Virginia Gregg, Joseph Kearns, and Junius Matthews, with Harry Bartell, Lou Krugman, and Peter Leeds. Parley Bear is Chester. Join us again next week as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal, fights to bring law and order out of the wild violence of the West in Gunsmoke. Remember, America must produce as she never has before. She must produce war materials, civilian goods, and above all, democracy. Only an all-out effort in all three directions will give us security against aggression. George Walsh speaking, and remember, Gangbusters goes into action Saturday nights on the CBS Radio Network.
Dodge City and in the territory on West, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers, and that's with a U.S. Marshal and the smell of gun smoke. Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad. The story of the violence that moved west with young America. The story of a man who moved with it. Matt Dillon, United States Marshal.
There. Rope's ready. One of you men lead that horse over here. All right. Let me get this noose around your dirty neck, and you'll be swinging in no time. There. Not too tight, is it? I wouldn't want you to be uncomfortable.
That's enough of that, Cam.
What? Who said that?
I did.
I said it. Rice Stewart. What's the matter, you turning yellow?
Get this over with, Cam. Why devil him?
Because that's what he is, that's why.
Shut up. I'll take care of you in a minute. Rice, you got anything against my hanging this murderer?
Just don't double him, that's all. Get it over with.
I'll do it my way.
It's my brother he shot, isn't it? And in the back, too.
Rice, maybe you'd like me to turn this bushwhacker loose. Is that it?
Oh, well, ask him his name. Nobody's even asked him his name.
You'll hate this night. All of you. I was in on a lynching once, and I swore I'd never be in on another.
Well, I guess the joke's on you, isn't it, fella?
Look, I hear you laugh again, Cam, so help me, I'll shoot you.
Maybe you shouldn't be here, Rice.
How can you hang a man you don't even know his name? What do I care what his name is?
So long as he pays for murdering Job.
What's your name, fella?
What do you care? You don't want to stop him. You just want it off your conscience, that's all.
Tell me your name.
It's Billy Saxton, that's my name, Billy Saxton. How's it sound?
Billy, why'd you kill Job, pal?
That's enough talk. What difference it make? He killed him, and that's all I need to know.
Yeah, what do you care? He's gonna hang me anyway.
Sure I am. Right now.
Billy, I got a rifle. I'll end it for you when we ride off. You won't have to strangle for long.
Thanks, mister. Thanks.
Get back, Rice. I'm going to slap that horse out from under him. You ready?
That's for you!
Let's go, men.
But has concealed the hour of their death, grant that we may pass our days in the practice of holiness and justice, and that we may be able to quit this world in the peace of a good conscience. Amen.
Amen.
May Job Powell rest in peace. Amen.
Amen. Go ahead, boys.
Morning, Cam. I'm sorry to hear about Joe.
You're late for the burial, Marshal.
Well, I was out at Fort Dodge last night. Just heard about it this morning. Preacher?
We are in the valley of the shadow of death, Marshal Dillon.
Well, if you're all through here now, I wonder if you'd read a few prayers over another man. We got him in a grave just over the hill way.
Another man?
Man is born into trouble as the sparks fly upward. Job 5:7. Who was this man, Marshal? How'd he die?
He was murdered last night.
I didn't hear about any murder outside of Job here. Where was this shooting, Marshal?
It wasn't a shooting. It was a lynching.
I just buried my brother, Marshal. Billy Saxton shot him in the back. Aren't you using the word murder a little loose around here?
Only the law can hang a man without it being murder, Cam.
The law's too slow sometimes.
You know something about this?
All I say is that he shot my brother and he deserved hanging.
Hanging, maybe. Lynching's a different matter.
What difference it make? He got what was coming to him.
He had a fair trial coming to him, like any man. For example, Cam, I'll try to see that you get one.
What?
If you're guilty of leading that lynch party.
Well, say it out, Marshal. You accusing me?
I got no evidence.
And you won't get any. There isn't a man in the country who'll stand still for bushwhacking. Saxton got his due, and that's that.
Maybe. All right, come on, preacher. Let's bury him.
Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. Genesis 9:6. Show me the grave, Marshal.
Why don't you just arrest Cam Powell, Mr. Dillon?
Yeah, he won't admit anything, Chester, and I can't find a witness.
Must be somebody who'll talk.
Cam's a bigger man than ever now, with Job dead. The others don't want to cross him.
Mm. He owns a lot of land, all right.
And Job also owned a piece of the bank. Cam will get that now. Ranchers always need money, so they won't talk.
Yes, and maybe they're ashamed, too, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah, maybe.
I saw lynching once, and not a man there could look in the eye for a long time afterwards.
You weren't in on it, were you, Chester?
Oh, my gracious, no, Mr. Dillon. I was just a small boy. That was back in Waco. They hung a cousin of mine there.
Oh, why?
Well, sir, it's kind of hard to explain. He was about as honest a fellow as I ever knew, outside of some loose notions about other people's cattle. But, Mr. Dillon, I just don't believe that struck him as stealing.
Why not?
Well, because there wasn't anything personal about it, if you know what I mean.
Well, I don't, but maybe you can explain it to me.
Well, sir, just that there was all those cattle running loose on the plains, and I guess they seemed like a natural part of the landscape to him. He figured anybody could own them.
Your cousin wasn't very bright, was he, Chester?
I didn't know him well enough to say, Mr. Dillon. But anyway, they shouldn't have lynched him.
No. No, they shouldn't have. And nobody's going to get by with lynching around Dodge if I have anything to do with it.
No, sir.
I heard Billy Saxton was at the Texas Trail last night. Maybe I can start there.
He sure must have hated Job to kill him like that, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah. I'll be back later, Chester.
Yes, sir, Mr. Dillon.
Hello, Kitty.
Hello.
Well, I can remember when you'd give me a smile. What's the matter?
Nothing, Matt.
Someone been bothering you?
You might put it that way. Where were you last night, Matt? Why weren't you around?
Yeah, Chester and I rode out to Fort Dodge on business. It was late, so we slept there. I thought this town could go one night without trouble.
You sure thought wrong, didn't you?
You're upset about the lynchings, that is.
That's it. Aren't you?
I heard Billy Saxton spent some time in here yesterday.
I hate men. I think they're awful. Savage beasts.
It'd be worse if it weren't for the law, Kitty. Now tell me about Saxton.
He could tell you himself, Matt, if you hadn't picked last night to wander out of town.
Now, Kitty, this isn't like you.
I'm sorry, Matt. He seemed like such a nice kid.
Where was he from? I never heard of him around here before.
The Dakotas, somewhere. He was just a cowpuncher, looking for a job. No more a gunman than I am.
No, you can't be sure, Kitty. He say he'd ever been in Texas?
The Powells came from Texas, didn't they?
Amarillo.
Well, he never mentioned Texas one way or the other.
What'd he talk about?
Horses, mostly. How he'd like to have a little spread of his own someday. And a woman.
I see.
And he talked nice about it. He wasn't like these hard cases around here.
Anything else?
Cam Powell was in this morning. Told me not to talk about Billy, especially to you.
No? What'd you say?
I told him I'm not afraid of him, but maybe you are, so why didn't he warn you against talking to me?
That pleasing?
I also told him if I was a man, I'd kill him.
Who else was in on it, Kitty?
I don't know. One thing, though. Rice Stewart came in here last night. Must have been afterwards. He sat over there in that corner and got drunk all by himself. Real drunk.
Not like Rice.
No, but maybe he was in on it and couldn't stand himself afterwards. Maybe that's why he had to get drunk.
Well, I'll go see him.
Anyone who was there would be in trouble, too. Wouldn't they, Matt?
Yeah. I have a feeling Cam really headed this thing, and if I can prove it, I'll have him up for murder.
I'll keep my ears open, Matt.
Thank you, Kitty. Think I'll ride out to the Stewart Ranch. Rice isn't a man who can lie with much conviction.
Good luck, Matt.
Yeah, I'll see you later.
We'll return for the second act of Gunsmoke in just a moment. But first, do you know how old the school building in your community is? If it's over 25 years old, the chances are that it's woefully inadequate to the present demands on it. Join with the groups in your community working for better school conditions. Remember, better schools build a stronger America. Now the second act of Gunsmoke.
Hello? Anybody around?
Sit down, Marshal. I'm coming out of the sun.
Well, thank you, Miss Stewart.
Got a pot of coffee on the stove, Marshal.
Oh, thank you, ma'am, but I'd like to find Rice first.
Anything wrong, Marshal?
No, I'd just like to talk to him.
Rice come home real late last night, and he was awful drunk. First time in years.
If you'll forgive me, Miss Stewart, I'd better find him.
All right. Guess I'd rather Rice told me about it himself. Must be something up. Cam Powell was by earlier. Hasn't been around in months.
Where'd you say Rice was, ma'am?
Hasn't strayed far from the house today. He's coming in for coffee. Think he's drunk a gallon already.
Well, I'll be back for some myself in a little while.
Sure, Marshal.
Rice? Rice, you in here?
I'm here. Who is it?
It's Matt Dillon.
Oh?
Hello, Marshal. Hello, Rice. Can I take a little of your time?
I'd ask you up to the house, Marshal, but I think I'd rather talk here.
Miss Stewart already asked me in. She hasn't heard about what happened in Dodge last night, has she, Rice?
No, Marshal, she hasn't.
How come you didn't mention it to her?
What I tell my wife is my business, Marshal.
Yeah, sure. But you know, she's bound to hear about it later. Maybe she'll wonder why you didn't tell her right off.
That's still my business?
She said Cam Powell was here this morning.
Anything wrong in that?
You don't feel very good today, do you, Rice?
I got drunk yesterday. Last night I got drunker.
Is that what's bothering you?
Well, I'm not as young as I used to be, that's all.
You're a poor liar, Rice. I figured you would be.
Yeah, I suppose I am.
Look, Rice, I've known you for 4 years, and I've never heard a bad word against you. But yesterday you were a little drunk and got mixed up in something you're ashamed of now. Cam Powell's threatened you if you talk about it. Isn't that right?
That's right, Marshal.
Well, have you decided what you're going to do about it?
I don't know, Marshal. I just don't know.
Well, then maybe I'm wrong about you. Maybe you know better than Cam and the rest of them.
It's done with now, Marshal. Why can't we just forget it?
We just can't forget a lynching, Rice. That'd make it too easy for the next one to happen.
I'll kill the man that starts another one.
And why are you going to let Cam get by with this one?
Well, by heaven, I'm not. I should have stopped it then. I don't know what was wrong with me, but I'll face up to it now. What do you want to know, Marshal?
Where were you when Job got shot?
At the Longhorn. About 6 of us were having supper. Job went down the street for some cigars, and then we heard a shot out back, and we run through the kitchen and found the cook outside holding Billy Saxton.
Mm-hmm.
He'd shot Job when he passed the street end of the alley.
The cook see it?
Oh, she said he did.
Then what happened?
And Cam, he went crazy when he found Job was dead. And, I don't know, Marshal, but before I knew it, we'd slipped out of town with that boy. Cam hung him on that little tree about a half mile down the road.
Yeah, I know. I cut him down.
And that cook, that Hank something or other, I remember he grabbed Saxon's gun when we run out back. I can't get it off my mind. Nobody ever even looked at the boy's gun to see if it had been fired. Cam just hung him on the cook's word for it.
Mm-hmm. All right, Rice. Thank you. Will you be a witness if I need you?
I'll see you through now, Marshal. All the way. Oh, I feel better already.
All right. Let's go get some of your wife's coffee, Rice. Yeah. Then I got to get back to Dodge.
It's good coffee, Marshal.
Chester? Chester? Chester, where are you?
I'm out back, Mr. Dillon. I'll be right in.
What's that you've got all over you?
Paint, Mr. Dillon. White paint.
Paint? Well, where'd you get it? Now, what are you up to now, Chester?
I sent St. Louis for it, sir. I thought it'd be a good idea to make the hitching rail out back all white.
Well, what for?
Well, sir, we might be in an awful big hurry some night, and that...
all right, Chester. All right. Look, I want you to go get cleaned up. I want you to have supper at the Longhorn tonight.
Well, I sure do thank you, Mr. Dillon.
No, Chester. I want you to go there alone.
Oh. Yes, sir?
It's for a reason. Do you know the cook over there, Hank something or other?
That's Hank Ashford. He's not a very good cook, Mr. Dillon.
How long's he been around?
Oh, about a week. I don't think he likes cooking much. He don't seem to be very willing either.
Well, it doesn't matter. I doubt if he'll be around for long.
Why not, sir?
I'm guessing that he'll be wanting to get out of Dodge fast after you let it drop. Real casual-like, mind, that I've ridden out to arrest Cam Powell.
Is that so? You going to bring Cam in tonight, Mr. Dillon?
No. You're just going to make Hank Ashford think I am. And don't let anyone else hear about it, though.
Oh. I've got it, sir.
You happen to know where Hank rooms?
The Dodge house, Mr. Dillon.
It's pretty fancy for a cook, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
All right, you go to supper about 6 o'clock. And I'm gambling that Hank Ashford will be packing his things at the Dodge house by 7.
All right, Mr. Dillon.
Marshal.
Evening, John.
Hope you're not looking for a room. We're all filled up. Texans, mostly.
Well, that's fine. What room's Hank Ashford got?
310, Marshal. Top of the stairs, straight down the hall.
Uh-huh.
Hey, you been up to anything? Looked to be in a mite of a hurry when he come in.
He's here now?
Went upstairs just a couple minutes ago.
Yeah.
Something up, Marshal?
What do you want?
Leave that gun lay where it is, mister. Here, I'll just put it in my belt. Less likely to get you in trouble that way.
You're the marshal, ain't you?
You leaving town, Hank?
Yeah, I am.
Why?
I'm tired of cooking, that's why.
You got Billy Saxton's gun up here, Hank?
What?
Or shall I tear your stuff apart and find it myself?
No, it's in that drawer there.
Yeah.
But I wasn't at that lynching, Marshal. I can prove I wasn't.
Yeah, I'm sure you weren't. Yeah, all the shells are here. And the barrel's clean. I thought this gun killed Joe Powell.
It did. I cleaned it, that's all.
Well, you're pretty neat, Hank, for a hash house cook. Yeah, catch this.
Now what?
And you handle that gun pretty well, too, for a cook. Look at the way you're holding it now.
I don't want that gun. What are you trying to prove, Marshal?
You're a gunfighter, not a cook, Hank.
All right, Marshal, I used to handle a gun, but I'm looking for the peaceful life now. Any law against a man changing?
No, but you're under arrest anyway.
What for?
I'll think of something. Let's go.
Hank wouldn't eat any breakfast, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah, that's too bad.
He says he won't be here long anyway. They all say that, don't they?
Yeah, he may be right. I see Cam Powell coming across the street for him right now.
You going to let him go, Mr. Dillon?
Well, we'll see.
All right, Marshal. What's the bail on Hank Ashford?
There's no bail at all, Cam.
What do you mean, no bail? You can't hold a man like this.
I'm not holding him.
You mean he can leave?
Anytime.
And what'd you arrest him for in the first place?
Oh, let's say, suspicion.
Suspicion of what?
Well, drunkenness?
He wasn't drunk.
No, but he might have got drunk.
You're pretty high-handed with that badge, aren't you, Dillon?
You tell me, Cam. You ought to know about being high-handed.
We're wasting time. Turn him loose. I want to get out of here.
I'll get him, Mr. Dillon.
Hank's a right handy man to have around, huh, Cam?
What does that mean?
Well, he can cook. Probably turn his hand to most anything. Sort of a jack of all trades, isn't he?
I wouldn't know, Marshal.
Well, thanks for bailing me out, Cam.
I didn't have to bail you out. You're free.
Is that right, Marshal?
That's right, Hank. So go on, enjoy yourself.
Yeah, I sure will. And I'll start by having a drink. Come on, Cam, let's see if the Alfraganza's open.
Mr. Dillon?
Yeah.
You think Hank shot Joe Powell, don't you?
Well, that'd be my guess, Chester.
Then why'd you let him go?
No evidence. They lynched the only witness. But I've made him a little nervous now. He'll get real jumpy with the help of some liquor.
Well, what good'll that do, sir?
They just might hang themselves, Chester. With a prod or two from me.
Well, come on, let's yeah.
Are you still here, gentlemen? May I buy you a drink?
What are you doing here, Marshal?
Why do you want to buy us a drink?
Bartender.
Give me that bottle there, will you?
Cam, I don't like this. Let's get out of here.
Wait a minute, Hank. I'm too big a man in Dodge to get pushed around by any marshal.
I just want you to have one drink before you leave, gentlemen.
Yeah? Just one.
For you, Cam. And for you...
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, here's to may he rest in peace, Billy Saxton.
You looking for trouble, Marshal?
You're the one who's got trouble, Hank.
What do you mean? You turned me loose yourself.
Yeah, I know. But what about Cam here?
What?
You think Cam's going to let you go after everything you've told me?
What'd you tell him, Hank?
Nothing. He's lying. I told him nothing.
And what are you talking about, Marshal?
Just that I've got about all the evidence I need, Cam. Won't you ask Hank? He can tell you. Go on.
Hank, if you cross me, I'll see you die for it.
You believe him, do you? Well, go ahead. You didn't have the guts to shoot your brother yourself.
Shut up.
Who are you going to hire to shoot
Shut
me?
up, blast you.
Shut me up. Shut
You're
me
drunk,
up.
man. Use your head. You got us in enough trouble already.
I have. If you let me shoot that boy when he stumbled on me, would have
Stop
been
it.
all right.
Stop it. Stop
you may
it.
be rich, Cam, but you sure ain't smart.
I'm gonna kill you, Hank.
Well, draw on me and I'll have 2 pals tomorrow.
All right, hold it, both of you. We've heard enough.
Well, there you are, Hank. Marshall's heard all he needs. You're done for now.
Yeah? Well, I shot a marshal in Trinidad once. Don't see why I can't shoot one in Dodge.
Don't try it, Hank.
Why not, Marshal?
Good riddance.
You're under arrest, Cam.
Hank shot Job Marshall. You heard him say so.
I heard him. But I'm still interested in who murdered Billy Saxton.
And you're right back where you started, Marshal. Seems nobody knows about that lynching.
I know about it.
Right, Stewart.
I'm not proud of it, but I was there. I witnessed the whole thing.
I'll take your gun now, Cam.
I guess you win, Marshal.
Nobody wins this time, Cam. But maybe the next time anybody gets an idea about lynching a man around here, they'll think twice. Now, you lead the way.
Gunsmoke, under the direction of Norman Macdonald, stars William Conrad as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal. Tonight's story was especially written for Gunsmoke by John Meston, with music composed and conducted by Rex Corey. Featured in tonight's cast were Paul Dubov, John Daner, and Tom Tully, with Joan Danton, Ralph Moody, and Lee Millar. Parley Bear is Chester, and Georgia Ellis is Kitty. Join us again next week as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal, fights to bring law and order out of the wild violence of the West in Gunsmoke. This is the CBS Radio Network.
Around Dodge City and in the territory on west, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers, and that's with a U.S. Marshal and the smell of gun smoke. Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad. The story of the violence that moved west with young America. The story of a man who moved with it. Matt Dillon, United States Marshal.
It was the dust. The heat was bad enough in Dodge City, but out on the plain, it was the dust. The sun was a burning red-brown chip in the sky, and the sweat on a man never had a chance to drop. It was blotted and dried with
dust. Doc, Chester, and I had ridden to old man Gore's place 10 miles out. He'd had some trouble with one of the hands. Fella had gone loco with liquor and had been shooting up the cattle. We found him, stripped naked nearby on his haunches, crying, drunk over a parched water hole. Doc had got him to bed and fixed him up some. And now we were heading back for Dodge.
Darn horse. Seems he's just bound to stomp all the dust in Kansas in my eyes.
Maybe the marshal will buy you a camel, Chester.
This keeps up, we'll all buy camels. I remember the time back in Waco when I was just
Doc,
a small...
Chester,
boy.
You see something ahead on the side of the trail there?
Yeah, maybe.
It looks like some poor calf strayed off and dropped.
I don't think so. It looks like a man. Come on. Chester, get the water bag.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let me have a look, Marshal.
Yeah.
Let's see. Heat.
Is he all right?
Well, depends on how long he's been lying here.
Here you are, Mr. Dillon.
Huh.
Open up his shirt, Marshal. Chester, get some of that water on his wrists.
All right.
It looks like an Easterner, huh?
Sure not dressed for this country. Oh, no, that's better. That's better. Try to get a few drops in him.
All right.
No, not too much, Chester.
Not in his nose, Chester, his mouth.
Well, my gracious, I'm sorry, Mr. Dillon, but he moved his head. It's not so easy to... Hey, look, he's awake.
You're all right, mister. Just take it easy for a bit now.
Oh, that this too solid flesh would melt, thaw, and resolve itself into a dew.
What did he say?
Oh, it's out of his head, Chester.
For this relief, much thanks.
Forget it. Chester, get around the other side and shade him from the sun.
Yes, sir.
The sun. I begin to be weary of the sun.
I don't blame you. What happened?
My wagon shed a wheel, I fear, along the high road. I know not where I am.
You're about 4 miles out of Dodge City. Kansas.
Kansas. I would give all my fame for a pot of ale and safety.
We better get him to town quick. He's in a bad way. Still there.
You think you can make it on a horse? We'll take him into Dodge. And he passed out again. We tied him across Doc's horse. Doc and I doubled up, and Chester rode behind. The stranger was a tall, skinny man with a face like a friendly mule. Big hands and thin wrists stretched out from his sleeves. He had no papers on him, nothing. And until he woke up, we wouldn't even know his name. Doc settled him down in the back of his place, and he was still asleep when Chester and I rode out to where we figured he'd left his wagon. Wasn't hard to see when we found it.
What color wagon would you call that, Mr. Dillon?
Puce, Chester. Puce.
I guess so. Seems to be some writing on the side there.
Yeah. Oh, Irving Henry, thespian supreme, disciple of the immortal bard.
I should have known he was a religious man.
He's an actor, Chester, the immortal bard. Shakespeare, William Shakespeare, wrote plays, poems. But
you think he let the horses go, Mr. Dillon?
I was wondering that. Seems to me he'd have ridden for help instead of trying to walk.
Horses couldn't have got out of the harness themselves.
Let's take a look at the wheel.
I wish we could wait till the sun goes down. It's going to be awful hot work, Mr. Dillon.
It's not too bad. The pin fell out. Must be another in the box at the back. Take a look, will you, Chester?
Yes, sir.
I'll prop the wheel up here. Now.
Mr. Dillon,
Yeah, can't you find it?
will you come here a minute?
What's the matter?
Take a look in there.
It took a second or two to get used to the darkness inside the wagon. And then I saw the hand sticking out from behind the trunk. You didn't have to be the doc to know that it was a dead hand. The body was of a man about 40. He was dirty. And in a greasy, torn waistcoat, I found a pocketbook with his name. Sam Matchett. And that was all. Below his left shoulder and his back was a patch of dried blood. And in the middle, a bullet hole. We got the wagon wheel on, hitched up our horses, and drove into Dodge. Doc?
Oh, that's you, Marshal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be right out.
All right.
Get that fella's wagon fixed up?
Yeah, I brought it in. Is he awake?
Oh, I haven't looked in the last half hour. I was making coffee. You want some?
No, thanks.
Oh, it's a funny thing about coffee. When it's hot weather like this, drink it scalded and it makes you feel cooler outside.
Look, Doc, I got to see that fellow. I want to ask him a couple of questions.
Oh, that's so?
I found a dead man in the back of his wagon.
You don't say.
You better take a look. Chester's bringing him in the side.
Oh, sure. You want to go on back?
Yeah, thanks, Doc. Mr. Henry? Mr. Henry, wake up.
Yeah, what? Oh.
Your name, Irving Henry?
Oh, Irving Henry. What is this place?
Now, you got to listen to me for a minute. We found your wagon.
Ah?
Did you let the horses go before you sat on your own?
Of course. I could not let them remain to die.
Well, how come you didn't take one to ride?
I have a loathing of horses. I cannot bear one under my body. There is a carafe of water beside the bed. Would you be good enough, Mr.
Dillon, Matt Dillon. I'm the marshal here in Dodge City. Here you are.
Oh, my thanks.
Now, what were you doing with a dead man in your wagon, Mr. Henry?
A dead man?
A dead man shot in the back, lying in your wagon.
This is very midsummer madness.
I won't argue about that, but I'll thank you to answer my question.
But it is impossible. It isn't true.
I say it is.
You lie in your throat if you say that I'm any other than an honest man.
Look, mister, I didn't say you weren't honest. You're an actor. And you got a fine way of saying things, but murder's murder. I don't care how you say it. Now, I'm asking questions, and I want straight answers.
Your pardon, sir. What you tell me, in truth, if it were played upon a stage, I would condemn it as an improbable fiction. I swear to you, I know nothing of a body.
Did you come through Hayes City?
Yes.
Do you know a man there called Sam Matchett?
No.
You had no trouble in Hayes City?
No.
What are you doing in these parts, Mr. Henry?
I am touring the provinces. An actor eating the bitter bread of banishment. And my talents are not taken for their worth in the East. And therefore, I bring the immortal bard to the hinterlands. And now, sir, that the interview is ended, pray give me leave to depart.
I'm sorry, I can't do that. You'll have to stay until we get this thing cleared up.
Mr. Dillon, Doc would like to see you.
All right, Chester. Stay here with Mr. Henry, will you?
Well, sure, Mr. Dillon, sure. How you feeling by now, Mr. Henry? Would you like some more water?
Evil bellows live in brass.
Doc?
Right here, Marshal.
Yeah. What'd you find?
Well, there's one thing. This man didn't die right away. I mean, not right when he was shot.
Is that so?
No. More likely bled to death. Inside.
Uh-huh. You think he might have been able to climb up in the wagon after he was shot?
He might. there's another thing.
Yeah?
You see the way he's dressed? Now, you take a look at that. What the...
Come on, Doc. Chester.
What's the matter with him?
Chester.
He took my gun when I was pouring him some water, Mr. Dillon.
He must have gone through the window, Marshal.
I tried to get it back. It went off.
Take care of Chester, Doc. I'm going after him.
We will return for the second act of Gunsmoke in just a moment. But first, do you know how old the school building in your community is? If it's over 25 years old, the chances are that it's woefully inadequate to the present demands on it. Certainly thousands of schools all over America are unable to meet the needs of a greatly increased enrollment. And all our school children will suffer unless all of us work actively to improve conditions. Join with the groups in your community working for better school conditions. Remember, better schools build a stronger America. Now, the second act of Gunsmoke.
When I went out of there, I didn't know how badly Chester was hurt. There was a lot of blood on his head and over his face. It was nearly dark outside, and the street was empty. It was supper time. I could see the women through the windows getting food ready. The kids were inside, too. Sure looked peaceful. But with Henry out with a gun, well, that wasn't a good thing to have running around loose in Dodge.
Evening, Mr. Dillon.
Did you see a man run down the street, Miss Fletcher?
No.
Oh, you better get inside and lock your door. Don't come out again. There's a killer loose. I walked the length of the street, listening, waiting. And when I got to the end, there was nothing. He hadn't taken a horse, I'd have heard that. And in a way, I was sorry, because if he'd tried to hide and dodge, there'd be no way to get out of shooting that wouldn't get women and kids hurt. A breeze came up and swirls of dust flew around, and then settled as the air became still and hot again. I went back to Doc's place.
Oh, did you find him, Marshal?
No. How's Chester?
Oh, I'm fine, Mr. Dillon. Just creased my head, more mess than hurt.
Oh, good, Chester. Look, you want to go home or you want to work?
I want to work.
All right, go down to the office, get yourself another gun, and round up some men, many as you can. As long as Henry stays in town, we're in trouble. Now, keep your eyes open. Meet me back here.
Yes, sir, Mr. Dillon.
Take my gun with you, and if you see him, watch out. All right, now get going.
Yes, sir.
Now, Doc, I'm going to have to make you a deputy, too.
Well, maybe instead of digging out bullets, I'll be putting some in.
It's not funny, Doc. Now, come on. All right, we'll start here. I'll take this side, you take the other. Get the men to go through their houses and tell them to look for their horses. Tell them what's happening. But 10 o'clock that night, as far as we could tell, Henry hadn't left town. There were plenty of places for him to hide, though. We had 50 men out searching. Chester and I were working along back of the express office. There were a couple of houses there we hadn't covered.
You wouldn't think a man like that'd be a killer, now would you, Mr. Dillon?
I never saw a man yet couldn't be, Chester. Depends on your reasons for killing, I guess. Now, let's take a look behind these boxes, huh?
You think he could have got this far?
Yeah, he might. A lot of back streets to sneak around in the dark. That's Miss Cullen's place there, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Looks like she's still awake. Light burning back there.
Yeah.
Seem a bit cooler to you tonight, Mr. Dillon?
Yeah, a bit. Oh, evening, Miss Cullen. I'm sorry to get you up, but we're looking for a man, a stranger around. He's tall, thin. You seen anyone about tonight?
No. No, I haven't.
Oh? How's the kids?
Oh, they're fine. Thank you, Mr. Dillon. Fine.
Uh-huh. Well, you keep the place locked tight, Miss Cullen. Don't let anybody in tonight unless you know who it is.
All right. Good night, Mr. Dillon.
Good night, ma'am.
Well, now that's strange. She didn't even say hello to me, and I know her better than you do, Mr. Dillon.
Chester, round up the others. Get them over here.
I don't know why she...
He's in there with her. I think he's got the kids in the sleeping room.
Oh.
Sent her out to get rid of us. Now, I'm going to try and get in. Don't do anything when you come back. Just put the men around the house.
Yes, sir.
I'd seen Miss Cullen make a move with her head, and her eyes said the rest. When I told her to lock up, I shook my head, and I hope she understood. I wanted that front door to stay open.
Keep my promise as soon as I can.
He was in there, all right. I could hear him. I wanted him alive, but I wasn't going to risk hurt to Miss Cullen or the kids getting him.
Please. I did what you asked. Don't hurt the children, please.
They will never know this night. And in the morning, when they're awake. What's that? You said you locked the door after you.
No, don't. Don't.
I shall keep the pistol turned to the girl's head now. Someone is here. They try to take me. Who is it? Who?
Mr. Dillon, go away. Please. He'll kill us.
You lied. You lied. Oh, tiger's heart wrapped in a woman's hide. Listen to me, Marshal Dillon. Throw your pistol in here, and then come in with your hands before you. I have no stomach for child killing, but I will not hesitate to do so.
Now give me the gun, Henry.
No.
You won't be able to get out of this.
I must. There is living to be done.
You know that fancy talk isn't going to help either. Now why don't you climb down? What happened to Matchett?
Nothing happened to Matchett.
Why'd you kill him?
I didn't.
In 5 minutes or less, there'll be 50 men or more around here. Now what are you going to do?
I don't know.
If you didn't kill Matchett, you'll get a chance. I'll see to that. There's no use going on this way. Give me the gun.
I cannot. It is my prop of salvation.
No gun is salvation to anybody. Put it down.
You must tell the men to go away, Marshal Dillon. I'll have to take one of these children with me for my protection.
No!
Shed a tear for me, madam. I have the greater need.
You do a lot of talking, mister. I'd like to see you turn the gun away from that kid's head. That'd take more than talk, wouldn't it, though?
I have no skill with such a weapon. Why should I match with you?
I want to live.
You're going about it the wrong way.
The smallest worm will turn being trod upon.
Meaning?
You gave me no choice when you brought me here. Would have been better to have left me lying in the dust. You don't understand. You don't know.
Well, why don't you tell me?
What good would it do?
It depends.
My life has been the theater. As a boy, I was a student of Shakespeare. You would look at me. Who would accept this face for Hamlet? This ill-shaped body for Romeo? His speech has become my speech, but the fools only look. They cannot listen for laughing.
There have been ugly men before you. It hasn't been cause for murder. Why'd you kill Matchett?
In New York, there was a man, a gross, stupid man, who fancied himself an interpreter of the bard. He took me, as his apprentice, and together we set out for the tour. I would play only the voices. Never Richard, never Henry, never Lear, only the voices. Whilst he, stumbling, drunken, he muddled and tore to a tatter the words that I should have spoken.
You killed a man because you wanted to play a hero?
How easily murder is discovered.
Yeah, sometimes, I guess.
It was yesterday. We were leaving Hayes City. We played there for 2 days, and it made me a laughing stock. It was night, and he became drunk and threatened to leave me in the next town. I made him stop the wagon, and taking up a pistol, I shot him. He did not die at first. When I saw what I had done, I wanted him to live. And I put him into the wagon and I drove on, hoping to find a doctor. Then, as the night passed, I saw that he had died. And I was afraid.
The wagon broke down?
Yes, I put my purse into his clothes and took his name for mine. How I've hated the name of Sam Matchett. But you wouldn't understand.
I wouldn't? Well, what now?
I want to live. I want my chance.
You've done a murder. I can't let you go. You know that. Don't make it harder.
I lost my husband 2 years ago. I know what it is to be alone. You've been alone, haven't you? I'm sorry. But you killed someone.
We may pity, though not pardon, dear. I'm going now, Marshal.
If you walk out of there with your gun, you're a dead man.
Death's a great disguiser. I must have my chance.
Don't do it, Matchett. There'll be killing.
Madam, forgive me. I would not have harmed your children.
Matchett, put down your gun.
Let me go my way. Please.
There are a lot of men waiting for you out there, Matchett. You know what'll happen if you open the door. Don't do it, Matchett. Matchett.
To sleep. Perchance to dream. Aye, there's the rub. For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come.
Matchett. He knew he was going to die. The minute he opened that door, he knew it. And maybe he wanted to, because he fired first, a single shot. We buried him in back of the church, and I found some words in a book to put on his grave. He that dies pays all debts.
Gunsmoke, under the direction of Norman Macdonald, stars William Conrad as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal. Tonight's story was specially written for Gunsmoke by Anthony Ellis, with music composed and conducted by Rex Corey. Hans Conried was featured as Henry, with Mary Lansing as Mrs. Cullen. Parley Bear as Chester, and Howard McNear as Doc. Join us again next week as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal, fights to bring law and order out of the wild violence of the West in Gunsmoke. Roy Rowan speaking. Remember, Gangbusters going to action Saturday nights on the CBS Radio Network. Dodge City and in the territory on West, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers, and that's with a U.S. Marshal and the smell of gun smoke. Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad. The story of the violence that moved west with young America. The story of a man who moved with it. Matt Dillon, United States Marshal.
Lucky Palace, Marshal. I see you received my complaint.
I got it, Mingo. Where's Stanley?
Where do you think? Upstairs.
Brandy?
Naturally. She always does mother him when he's in trouble. Be careful, Marshal. He might be dangerous.
Well, Marshal, you got a sweet word for Dixie?
Yeah. Move.
Oh, it's not very sweet. It was to the point. Say hello to Jim for me, huh? Go away.
It's me, Brandy. Matt.
Come in, Matt. Join me in a drink?
Where is he, Brandy?
In the next room. Cried himself to sleep.
Save it, Brandy. I gotta take him.
Oh, why, Matt? Jim Stanley never did a mean thing in his life. He's no bad man.
He stole money from Mingo's roulette table, and he threw a bottle at him when he was caught. Mingo's pressing charges. Stanley can clear himself in court.
Huh? Against Mingo's witnesses?
Do you bring Stanley out, or do I go get him?
Go get him. But I wouldn't be proud, Matt.
Stick to running dance hall girls, Brandy. Let me run the law, huh? Stanley? Stanley!
Oh, it's you, Marshal. I was sleeping.
I want you to come with me, Jim.
Come with you? Sure, Marshal.
You better get up. Come on. Come on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, where are we going, Marshal? Would you like to visit my ranch? I got a new colt. The prettiest little sorrel you ever saw.
Jim.
What?
We're going to jail.
Jail? Me, Marshal? Do I have to?
Yes, Jim.
I've never been in a jail.
I'm sorry, Jim.
No. I can't go in there. Oh, Marshal, I ain't never been locked up before. Please, don't make me.
I have to.
I didn't mean to do it. Honest. I just lost my head when I realized my money was gone. I wouldn't have kept those chips.
I know that.
I just grabbed them. I don't know why. They were there, and I just grabbed them, and then Mingo started in on me. He kept saying things, bad things about...
Take it easy, Jim.
I wouldn't have cared, except that, well, Dixie was there. He kept yelling at me that I was a thief right in front of her. I tried to make him stop, and he wouldn't. Then something happened. The bottle was there,
You threw it at Mingo?
No, I just threw it, Marshal. I was crazy. I didn't mean to hurt nobody.
I believe you, Jim.
Marshal, will you ask Dixie to come and see me later?
Yeah, sure, I'll ask her.
Thanks. I just want to tell her not to blame Mingo for all this. She might say something or give up her job.
Don't worry, Jim. I don't think Dixie's going to give up anything.
He won't eat his dinner, Mr. Dillon. He just sits there staring.
Yeah, poor devil.
He won't really be convicted, will he?
Well, I hope not, Chester.
Mingo's the one who ought to be in jail.
Look, Chester, this isn't exactly my idea of justice either. A shady gambler against a simple-minded horse rancher.
Hello, Marshal. Goodbye, Chester.
Oh, goodbye. I'll run along.
You stay put, Chester.
Oh, now, Marshal, I want to be alone with you.
I sent for you to come and visit Jim Stanley, and you better be nice to him.
Most fellas are tickled pink if I like them. They say I'm pretty.
You're pretty enough.
That's better.
I knew you liked me.
I said you were pretty. I didn't say I liked you.
Oh, now that's nasty.
Would you like to hear what I really think of you?
No, don't bother. I get the idea.
You're Mingo's girl.
When I feel like it.
And why do you have to tease a man like Stanley? Drive him to drinking and gambling and trouble like he's in now?
He's sweet. He thinks I'm beautiful.
Yeah. But even men like him wake up. Stick to Mingo.
Hello, Marshal. Thought I'd drop in and see if your prisoner was all set for trial tomorrow.
Mingo, I want you to withdraw those charges.
And let that potential murderer go free? No.
You got back the chips Stanley took from your table, and his assaulting a man like you is ridiculous. He doesn't even wear a gun.
A bottle constitutes a deadly weapon. Look it up, Marshal.
Why are you doing this, Mingo? Why pick on a man like Stanley?
Let's say I don't like him always slobbering over Dixie. She's private property.
For that greedy little vixen, you'd send Stanley to prison knowing that it'll probably crack his mind completely?
That's his problem.
You don't understand, Mingo. I don't like to see people pushed around.
Well, don't cross me, Marshal.
I already have.
People get dead that way.
Yeah, so I've heard. Now, just who are these witnesses of yours against Stanley?
Ned Cole, Saginaw Henry.
Both on your payroll?
Dixie. Some of the other girls.
All working for you, huh?
Jim Stanley's as good as convicted, Marshal. There's not a thing you can do about it.
Here, man. Drink this.
Thanks, Brandy.
You know, all you need to do is stop fighting yourself, Matt. You're mixed up.
That's sure true, Brandy. You know, it's funny when it's something you can fight with your fists and your guns, it's easy, but how do you fight a deal like this?
You gotta clear Jim somehow.
Yeah, with those witnesses against him, Jim can't win in court. Technically, he's a criminal.
Oh, criminal, my foot.
He admits the crimes. The judge will have to sentence him to at least a minimum jail term.
We know there are witnesses who can prove he's innocent. Now, a smart man would find a way to make him talk.
I've been thinking about it. Well, I'll tell Jim you were asking after him. I think he'd like that.
He's Dixie's. I had me a man once, Matt. I traded him for a bottle of brandy. I paid a stiff price for my name.
You're not through yet, Brandy.
Oh, sure. I play mother to everybody. Take everybody's troubles on my shoulders. Help salve my conscience. Don't ever hurt a person, Matt. You never get through paying for it.
Well, I better be going.
Where?
To try to get some of those witnesses to talk. Hello, Saginaw.
Huh? Oh, it's you.
I've been looking for you.
Then you've been looking for trouble.
Well, you're beginning to sound like your boss, Mingo.
It's late. What do you want?
I want to read you something from this book.
What book?
This law book.
Oh, so?
First law I see says that anyone giving a drink to an Indian is liable to fine up to $500. I saw you buy an Indian Pete a drink only last week.
Pete's a stable boy. He ain't no savage.
Law doesn't say savage, says Indian. Pete's an Indian, so technically you broke the law.
You can't make
Next one says any man that disrobes in a public place is guilty of committing a public nuisance. Carries a fine of $100.
Look, what the devil is all this?
I saw you breaking a horse down in Harrison's Corral a little while back. You took your shirt off, and that's disrobing in a public place. Technically.
You can't get away with this, Dillon.
How much you make a month, Saginaw?
50, 75.
Uh-huh. Well, the way it looks, I can get you fined on enough of these laws to keep you broke for about 5 years.
5 years?
Then we can start all over again.
You're bluffing. I never even heard of these laws.
Well, look for yourself here. If you witnesses are going to send Jim Stanley to jail on a technicality, then a lot of you are going to jail the same way.
Well, laws may be there, but they ain't fair.
All right, Saginaw, if that's how you want it. Come on, let's go to jail.
No, wait.
Well, then start talking.
Well, Dixie shilled Stanley into losing his money, and me and Ned Cole egged him into grabbing a couple of chips when the wheelman wasn't looking.
On Mingo's orders?
Sure. Stanley looked down at the chips we swiped, and he reached out to hand them back when Mingo jumped him.
What was Dixie doing?
Trying to keep from laughing.
Yeah, I'll bet. And then what?
Mingo rode Stanley hard to make him break down in front of Dixie. Finally, the poor lunkhead seemed to go crazy. He yelled and tossed a bottle at the bar.
Not at Mingo?
No, missed him by 10 feet. Stanley was just working off his mad by busting the bottle. Paid for it. I guess he had the right.
Yeah, I guess he had.
First, I think Mingo was just deviling Stanley, and then he got the idea to press charges and send him to jail. We got orders out of testifying.
Uh-huh. Well, thanks, Saginaw.
Marshal, I'd like you to know something.
Yeah?
I'm glad I told you about Stanley, because framing him into prison isn't my idea of something to be proud of.
It shouldn't be. Ah, good evening, Chester.
My, what are you so happy about, Mr. Dillon?
Everything, Chester, everything.
Is it about Jim Stanley?
It is about Jim Stanley. He's going to clear himself in court tomorrow. Come on, let's go tell him.
Well, gracious, that is good news. He couldn't have taken much more of being locked up.
I know. Hey, Jim, wake up. We're going to Jim.
Mr. Dillon, he's gone.
Both window bars are cut. Yeah. And here's what cut him.
A hacksaw blade. And look yonder, there's another.
That fool, why couldn't he have waited one more day and he'd have been free?
Jim Stanley didn't have those hacksaw blades on him, Mr. Dillon. I know. I searched him good.
You searched Dixie good?
Oh, mercy, no, Mr. Dillon. She's a girl.
He didn't have any other visitors?
No, sir. Mingo's going to be awful mad when he finds out his girl helped Jim Stanley get away.
Come on.
You going to arrest Dixie, Mr. Dillon?
I don't know, Chester. First, I gotta find her.
We will return for the second act of Gunsmoke in just a moment. But first, every Sunday on CBS Radio, hear both sides debate the issues on Pick the Winner. It's a program that brings in the top people from Democratic and Republican camps, standing their ground and delivering their views on the biggest questions of the campaign. Don't miss Pick the Winner, Sundays between now and November, to be fully informed when it comes time to vote. And remember, straight through election time, make CBS Radio your election headquarters. Now, the second act of Gunsmoke.
Up kind of late, aren't you, Marshal?
Where's Dixie, Mingo?
Dixie, she's gone. I don't know where she is.
You're lying.
No, I swear she disappeared hours ago.
I still think you're lying. Dixie's here someplace.
Nah, he's telling you the truth for once, Matt. Dixie's gone, all right.
Are you sure, Brandy?
Saw her right out of town.
Was Stanley?
Yeah, Matt. The two of them.
Dixie and Stanley?
Dixie passed him some saw blades. He cut his way out.
That rotten double-crossing hellcat.
She's your girl, Mingo.
I'll be the laughingstock of Dodge City.
Good. I hope they laugh you clear out of Kansas.
If it's the last thing I'll do, I'll find her. Both of them.
Finding them is my job, Mingo.
Go ahead. But you better beat me to them, or you'll be arresting them dead.
Yeah, they stopped here, all right. Probably changed horses and got some supplies.
That wasn't why Stanley came home. Look, Chester.
What?
Water in the stock trough is right up to the top. And the barn's open. Feed pulled out where the stock can reach it. Even scared to death, Jim thought about his animals first.
Mr. Dillon, you think Mingo's trailing Stanley and Dixie, too?
Perhaps. It's one good reason why we better catch him quick. Come on.
Still no sign.
Looks like we've lost them for good now.
What do we do, go back, Mr. Dillon?
We can't let Mingo find them.
Sure, but the way they've been zigzagging back and forth for the last 4 days, we don't have a chance in 1,000.
I'm not so sure, Chester. You know, there's a certain pattern about the way Stanley and Dixie have been moving. I don't think they're trying to leave this section at all.
Yeah, we have been getting closer and closer to Dodge with every circle lately.
And not only to Dodge.
Mr. Dillon, you got an idea?
Yeah, maybe. Come on, we'll ride back to Stanley's ranch.
You think they came back here?
I will soon find out. But from what we saw here before, I'll bet Stanley's not the kind to stay away from his ranch for very long. Hit the dirt, Chester. Behind the trough.
Yeah. It's Jim Stanley. There's his horse.
Yeah. All right, keep your eyes open. Stanley! Jim, it's Matt Dillon. Let me talk to you.
You go away, Marshal. I don't want to hurt you, but I ain't going back to that jail. So you go away now. I'll kill you.
Jim, listen to me. I've got a witness.
You better leave quick now. Please, Marshal.
Mr. Dillon, I'm getting wet.
That's better than getting shot. Keep your head down.
Yes, sir. Sure is wet.
Stanley's in a good position. Closest cover for us is the barn. That's across 50 yards of clearing. That's a long run.
He could pick us off before we made 10 feet.
Yeah. Jim! I'm not leaving until I've talked to you.
Leave me alone, Marshal. Can't you leave me alone?
I'm coming to talk to you, Jim.
No! No, stay back! I warn you!
Mr. Dillon, don't do it. That's a crazy man.
That's a frightened man, Chester. I'm coming unarmed, Jim. I don't think you're a murderer, but if you are, this is your chance.
Good luck, Mr. Dillon. Mr. Dillon!
Stanley's shot sliced across my side like a branding iron. It was all I could do to ignore my fear and keep going. But somehow I reached the ranch house alive. And I opened the door. Jim Stanley stood there holding his gun and crying. Jim?
I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. I was only trying to scare you. I'm not a killer. I never shot anybody in my life. Honest, Marshal, I can't even shoot a rabbit.
I know that, Jim.
I'm afraid. I've always been afraid of things. I try to be like other people. It only seems to bring trouble.
You can stop being afraid of the law and jail right now. That's all over with.
You mean that, Marshal? Really?
Really.
But I shot you.
Did you? I don't recall.
Oh, but Mr. Dillon, shot hit your side. Right there. You see it? It's bleeding.
Now, Jim, listen to me. You didn't shoot me.
Oh. Well, all right, if you say so, Mr. Dillon.
I say so. Here, I'll take that rifle. Now, let's go back to town and get this business settled, huh?
You've been good to me, Marshal.
Forget it, Jim. There is one thing, though. Dixie.
Oh, she brought me hacksaw blades.
I know that.
She said you were going to hang me and that I had to escape. She kept saying it.
Uh-huh, she was riding with you. Well, where is she now?
Oh, she left me last night. I was glad. I was nearly wild listening to her talk about you and prison. I even swore I'd kill myself before I'd go back to jail.
I'm glad you didn't mean it.
Oh, I meant it at the time. Oh, I was sure scared.
You feel better now?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I know. Everything's just going to be fine.
The rifle slug splashed the side of Jim's face with red, and he crumpled into the dirt. From the water trough, Chester opened up and drew the fire of whoever was hiding in the hayloft of the barn. I could see a gun barrel poking out from the side of the hayloft. And I picked up Stanley's rifle. Mingo.
Mr. Dillon, are you all right?
Yeah, Chester. But Mingo's dead.
Well, how about Jim Stanley, Mr. Dillon?
Yeah, he was scared more than hurt. He should come to any minute.
Well, my goodness. Oh, this looks like a sure enough war's been happening around here.
Where have you been, Dixie?
Oh, sure now, Marshal. A girl's got a right to look after her investments. My Mingo and Stanley both dead. Well, now that's a real shame.
Hmm? Oh, but Jim Stanley's gonna
Chester. You said investments. The only investment you've made is prison time for helping Jim escape.
Me? Well, how you going to prove anything, Marshal? With Jim dead.
But he's the
Chester, why don't you go look after the horses?
But Mr. Dillon... Yes, sir.
It's a right good thing because I'm going to be terribly busy, you know, taking care of poor Jim's ranch and money and of course, the funeral and everything.
Why should all that concern you, Dixie?
Because I'm Jim Stanley's widow.
What?
I married him 3 days ago in this city. It was such a sweet wedding.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
And now all I have left are some memories. And, of course, this little old ranch and Jim's money.
Dixie, there's something you should know.
Hmm?
You also got a husband. Have you heard enough, Jim?
Enough.
Jim! When I saw you fall...
You're sure bad, Dixie.
Oh, Jim, you mustn't pay no mind to what I said. I was upset. Didn't I come back just to be with you?
No good, Dixie. Jim's onto you now.
Jim, are you going to let him talk to me like that?
He's my friend. And I don't like you now, Dixie.
Oh, that's too bad. I'm still your wife.
Marshal, can she make that stick?
Well, by law, you have to support her, Jim. course, it don't say how.
Marshal, you stop putting ideas
And,
in...
of course, she has to take care of your house for you, Jim. Clean it, do the chores, cook for you.
Cook? Me? Cook for him?
He can make you, Dixie. It's his right.
All right, or not. I'd like to see him try.
He can do it, Dixie.
Yeah? Well, they can't if I'm not here. And I'm leaving right now.
You want to ride into town with us, Jim?
No. I think I'd rather stay here for a while, Marshal. If it's all right.
Yeah, sure. I'll fix it. But in a few days, when you feel like it, come in and see me, and we'll help you get that divorce taken care of.
Divorce?
On grounds of desertion. She just deserted you, remember? Chester and I are your witnesses.
Oh. Well, thanks, Marshal. I sure do thank you.
So long, Jim.
Goodbye, Marshal. Bye.
Come on, Chester, let's go.
He's had it too rough out here on the frontier, hasn't he, Mr. Dillon? Jim Stanley, I mean. It's addled him, sort of.
Yeah, I guess that's it, Chester.
Men like him need looking after.
Yeah, we got all kinds out here, Chester. Come on, let's get back to town.
Gunsmoke, under the direction of Norman MacDonald, stars William Conrad as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal. Tonight's story was specially written for Gunsmoke by Herb Purdom, with music composed and conducted by Rex Corey. Featured in the cast were John Daner and Michael Ann Barrett, with Paul Dubov, Vivi Janis, and Bill Lally. Parley Bear is Chester. Join us again next week as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal, fights to bring law and order out of the wild violence of the West in Gunsmoke. Tomorrow's speakers on Pick the Winner, representing both the major parties, will be Harold Stassen, Republican, and George Ball, Democrat. Listen for this important program, Pick the Winner, tomorrow and every Sunday from now to November. This is Roy Rowan speaking, and this is the CBS Radio Network. Around Dodge City and in the territory on West, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers, and that's with the U.S. Marshal and the smell of Gunsmoke. Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad. The story of the violence that moved west with young America. The story of a man who moved with it. Matt Dillon, United States Marshal.
There it is. Yeah. Wonder if he's in. We'll soon find out. Look him over close. You've got to know how he stacks up. Yeah, I know. Hope he doesn't recognize us. He won't. Come on.
Morning, boys.
Morning, sir. Are you the marshal here in Dodge?
Yeah, that's right. My name is Dillon. Matt Dillon.
Thompson's our name. I'm Jim. This is my brother, Will.
I'm glad to know you. This is my sidekick, Chester Proudfoot.
Pleased to meet
Howdy. Howdy. Mr. Dillon, we're after some information.
Huh? What kind of information?
Well, you see, Will and I just brought a trail herd up from the Pecos country, around 2,000 head. We're holding them downriver a few miles.
Oh, toward Walnut Creek?
Yeah, I guess that's what they call it. You see, we plan to drive them on up toward Wyoming and put them on grass for a couple of months. We got thinking we might sell them here if we could get a fair price.
Oh, you shouldn't have any trouble. The market's good right now.
So we've heard. And the only thing is, we don't know any buyers here. We were wondering if you might have an idea or two.
I see. Well, I see. I suggest you go talk to Clem Bates. He runs the bank down the west end of Front Street.
Clem Bates, huh?
Now, he'll know of any buyers that happen to be in town. Might even buy the herd himself if it's in good condition.
Well, we'll go right down and see him now, Mr. Dillon. And much obliged to you, sir.
Forget it.
Coming, Will?
Yeah. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Marshal.
Thank you. Same to you. Goodbye.
Well, they seem like a couple of nice men, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah. A couple of strange ones, Chester. Wonder what they're here for.
Why, to sell a herd of cattle. You heard what they said.
Chester, when's the last time a trail driver came in here and asked me where to sell his cattle?
Well, I don't recollect that one ever did before, but all the same...
Of course not. They go to the bank or one of the saloons. They don't come to the jail.
Then why do you figure the Thompsons did?
Well, I got an idea they might be sizing me up. I think that's the kind of information they wanted.
But why?
I don't know. Maybe they're planning something they think I might interfere with. What do you say we ride out to Walnut Creek and find out if they really got a herd, huh?
All right, Mr. Dillon, whatever you say.
That older one, Jim. You know, there's something familiar. I can't quite place it. Thompson brothers, huh? Well, come on, Chester, let's ride. Oh, boy.
Oh.
Hello.
Oh. Well, they got a herd, all right, Mr. Dillon.
Yes, so they have, Chester. Well, let's drop in on them, huh? Come on.
Smoke's coming up behind those willows. Must be their camp.
Yeah, I guess so.
These cattle are carrying a Circle Bar Tea brand. I never heard of it.
It's like the Thompson brothers, Chester. I never heard of them either. At least not by that name.
Camp looks deserted, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah,
Right way out!
Somebody coming out of the wagon.
Yeah, he must have been asleep or... Well.
You fellas better turn them horses around.
Hello, Houston.
Dillon, I didn't recognize you.
Well, now that you have, why don't you put the rifle down?
Well, sure, Marshal. I got no quarrel with you.
You used to figure you did.
Well,
How long you been working for the Thompsons, Houston?
just a couple of months, I ran into them down on the Pecos and hired out for the drive.
Did you know him before that?
No, I just happened to run into them, and I heard they was looking for riders.
Riders? I never knew you to hire out for anything but gunslinging.
Why don't you let bygones be bygones, Marshal? A man can change.
Maybe.
Now, you take me. I don't hold no grudges. You run me out of town last year, and I was pretty sore about it, but not anymore. I'm willing to forget it.
If you do, you'll be making a mistake, Houston.
Now, look,
I
Marshal.
told you to get out of Dodge City and stay out. That still goes. You understand me?
All right, Marshal. That's the way you want it. I'm not in Dodge City. Not yet.
They don't seem to be in here, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah, we'll wait, Chester. They will be sooner or later.
Well, it was a real dull day up until now.
Hiya, Kitty.
Good to see you, Matt.
Chester. You're on your own.
What?
Stick around, though, huh?
All right, Mr. Dillon. See you later, Miss Kitty.
All right, Chester. You like a drink?
Not now, thanks, Kitty. I was looking for a couple of strangers in town, the Thompson brothers.
Oh, yeah. They were in earlier. Seemed very pleasant, quiet, real polite.
Mm-hmm. People aren't always what they seem to be, Kitty.
Well, are they mixed up in something, Matt?
I don't know.
Well, then what do you mean?
I don't think their name is Thompson. And I don't think they came here to sell cattle.
But they brought a herd in.
Yeah,
Matt.
I know that. But I'm pretty sure I've seen that older brother somewhere before. Somewhere, sometime.
You're suspicious of everybody, aren't you, Matt?
Are you going to start that again?
All right. But you got the wrong attitude, you know. You miss a lot that way.
Yeah?
Yeah. Someday you're going to miss...
Over here at the
Oh,
bar,
there they
man.
are now. I came in with Clem Bates. Will you excuse me, Kitty?
Sure, Matt, sure. When you're through, come back. I'll be here.
All right, Kitty, I'll see you. Hiya, Clem.
I just bought myself 2,000 head of the finest cattle that's come north all summer.
Yeah, they are in good shape. I rode out that way this afternoon.
Marshal, we want to thank you again for putting us in touch with Mr. Bates. We're as satisfied with the deal as he is.
How about a drink, Matt?
Thanks, Clem. Later, maybe, huh? Mr. Thompson, do you know that you got one of the crookedest gunslingers in this part of the country working for you?
No, I didn't know it. What do you mean?
Man who calls himself Houston Jack.
Houston Jack. Is he back in town?
Well, not back in town, exactly. I ran into him out at the trail camp. I ordered him out of Dodge a year ago, Mr. Thompson. The order still stands.
That's funny. He didn't tell us he'd ever been in Dodge.
Well, I thought maybe he didn't. That's why I figured I'd better let you know about it.
I'm glad you did, Marshal. Of course, with the herd sold, we'll be paying the boys off tomorrow, and that'll be that.
Then back to Texas. The sooner the better. Well, meantime, there's nothing to prevent us from having a sociable drink or two. Holly, set 'em up over here.
Mr. Dillon?
What? Oh. Will you boys excuse me a minute,
Sure,
please?
go right ahead, Marshal. What are you going to have, boy?
Yeah, what is it, Sammy?
Could you spare me $1, Mr. Dillon? I need a drink awful bad.
Oh, Sammy, you know what always happens? First it's one drink, and then it's 10. And I always end up by having to run you in.
Oh, not this time, Mr. Dillon.
Well, what's the matter, Sammy?
Them fellas you're with, you know 'em, Mr. Dillon?
Well, their name's Thompson. They're brothers.
Huh? No, that's not their name.
Well, then what is it?
Gotta get out of here, Mr. Dillon.
Wait a minute, Sammy. What the devil are you talking about?
No, nothing, Mr. Dillon. Honest, just remembered something. I gotta go right now.
Well, how about that drink?
Some other time, Mr. Dillon. Thanks a lot. I'll remember it. Oh, goodbye, Mr. Dillon.
Here, what's wrong with Sammy, Matt? Did he smell a drink somewhere?
Yeah, he must have.
I don't know what you said to him, Marshal, but he sure went out of here looking like he'd seen a ghost.
Well, Sammy's seen a lot of different things at different times. Maybe he did see a ghost.
I can't figure where he got to, Mr. Dillon. I looked in all the places he usually hangs out, but there wasn't any sign of him.
Well, the ways of a drunkard and the ways of a woman, Chester, they're beyond all human knowledge.
Yes, sir, I guess they are, Mr. Dillon.
There's one thing certain, though. As blurry-eyed as he is, Sammy recognized those Thompson brothers. And that's more than I can do.
Oh, maybe there's nothing to recognize. Maybe you just think you've seen them before.
Yeah, maybe. Well, there's no use going back to Texas Trail. That's one saloon Sammy will stay clear of.
I just don't know where to look, Mr. Dillon. I'll swear...
Wait a minute, Chester.
Oh,
Thompson's coming out of the saloon.
No, I mean across the street. There's somebody by the corner. By heaven, that's Sammy.
Yes, and he's got a rifle.
I got you, boys.
Sammy, you fool!
Over there for the corner.
Come on, Chester.
He must have been crazy, Mr. Dillon. He must have been out of his mind.
Yeah, I guess. One side. Let me through here, please. Let me through. Sammy.
Mr. Dillon, I could use that drink now. Thought I'd get the reward.
Sammy?
Is he dead?
Yeah.
We sure hated to do it, Marshal. We had nothing against this man, didn't even know him, in fact. But I guess you saw what happened.
Yeah, I saw it. He threw a rifle on you, tried to kill you. You couldn't do anything else.
I can't figure it, Marshal. My brother and me didn't have no quarrel with this fella.
Well, Sammy drank a lot. He wasn't always in his right mind. But you won't be held. It was out and out self-defense.
Thanks, Marshal. Thanks a lot. Come on, Will, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
Well, it's too bad, Mr. Dillon. Sammy never meant no harm to anybody.
He did to the Thompsons, Chester.
And I can't figure it. Why did he do it?
Because he recognized them, I guess.
Say, did you see them draw after he fired?
Yeah. Yeah, I saw him.
They're fast, Mr. Dillon.
Matt,
What? Oh, Kitty.
I heard him down the street calling for Doc. Who's hurt?
Sammy got himself killed.
Oh. Poor little guy.
Yeah.
Matt, you got trouble, too.
What do you mean?
Houston Jack's in town.
What?
He's over at the saloon now, looking for you. Matt, he says he's gonna kill you.
We will return for the second act of Gunsmoke in just a moment. But first, adventure on your mind, then keep tuned. The Gene Autry Show is straight ahead on most of these same CBS radio stations, bringing you the Melody Ranch Gang and Gene Autry songs. Tarzan's straight ahead, too, tonight, involved with some fanatic headhunters in darkest Africa. There's another true police case on gangbusters this evening. And Broadway is My Beat offers mystery fiction that's packed with excitement. They're all ahead tonight on CBS Radio. Now, the second act of Gunsmoke.
I just can't figure it, Mr. Dillon. I never thought Houston would have the nerve.
Well, it's like a lot of things tonight, Chester. None of it figure.
Mr. Dillon, you don't suppose he's going to set you up for the Thompsons?
No, they got their horses and left. They're not in here. Well, we'll soon find out. Come on. Watch the boys at the tables, Chester, and keep them off my back, huh?
Yes, sir, Mr. Dillon.
Maybe I wanted to leave town just at that time. I'll tell you one thing for sure. There wasn't that tin horn marshal that made me do it. You notice he's staying plenty clear of me.
Hello, Houston.
Dillon, you got nothing on me.
I told you to get out of town, didn't I?
I know, but you still got...
I told you to stay out, didn't I?
Yeah, but you had no right. What do you think you are?
Why'd you come back?
That's my business.
Mine too, maybe.
You're under arrest.
Stay back, Dillon. I'm warning you.
You can't keep backing off forever, Houston. You'll have to stop sometime. I said you're under arrest.
I heard what you said. I got ears, Dillon, and I know how to...
He's bolted out the door, Mr. Dillon. He's getting away.
Be careful, Master. He could be waiting outside.
You drew, Mr. Dillon. Why didn't you shoot?
Because you didn't draw. You can't.
There he goes.
Oh, come on, Chester.
He can't be far ahead of us, Mr. Dillon.
He's heading for the range camp.
I still can't figure it, Mr. Dillon. It just don't add up.
Justice, help me if you say that once more. I'm...
What's the matter, Mr. Dillon?
Pull up. Over.
Oh.
Now.
What are we stopping for, Mr. Dillon? He's getting farther away every minute.
Chester, I owe you an apology. You're right. It don't add up.
Well, it's just a way of talking I have. I didn't intend...
No, I mean it, Chester. Everything Houston Jack did tonight, it doesn't add up at all. He knew I'd jump him if he came into town. He's tough, but he's not that tough. He's not the kind of a man to force a gunfight just for a chance to show off.
Yeah, but there wasn't any gunfight, Mr. Dillon.
No. He turned tail and ran. That's not like Houston either. You'll be a laughing stock from here to the Pecos.
Well, it's like I said, it just don't add... I forget what I was going to say.
Chester, suppose the Thompsons wanted to get us out of town for a while, huh?
You mean they put Houston up to that dido so's we'd chase off after him?
Well, there's only one way I know to find out. Come on.
Dodge is kind of spooky this time of night, Mr. Dillon. Pretty, though. All shadows and moonlight.
Yeah. Man could do a fair job of shooting tonight.
My. Sometimes I think Kitty is right about you, Mr. Dillon.
Meaning?
No heart.
Maybe not, Chester.
No offense, Mr. Dillon.
Oh, forget it. You know, Chester, there's something about moonlight connected with those Thompson brothers. I wish I could remember what... Chester, don't look. Just ride straight ahead. Keep riding. There are 4 horses tied over there by the bank.
Uh-huh. So that's it.
One of them's been run. He's wet. I can see it in the moonlight. Houston must have circled back.
Him and the Thompsons. Yes, but what about that 4th horse, Mr. Dillon?
It's probably Clem Bates. They'd have to have him. The vault's locked at night. All right, around the corner now. They may be watching from the front windows.
The Thompson brothers. I wouldn't never have figured them for a bank holdup.
Yeah, well. All right, we'll leave the horses here. Slip back to the side entrance.
Yeah. Ho.
Well, what about that moonlight now, Chester?
Well, I guess it's bright enough a man could do a fair job of shooting tonight. No sign of life, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah. They're in there, though. Side door's open.
Maybe one of us sort of climbed.
I came from the door. Come on, Chester. All right, get flat against the wall. They'll have to show themselves to fire at us.
See, Mr. Dillon, I think they shut that door.
Yeah. All right, let's move in easy.
Yes, sir. It's shut all right.
I'm going to try the door. If it opens, flip a couple of shots in.
Yes, sir.
It's bolted. All right, cover me, Chester. Here goes.
I think I hear him running inside.
Yeah, one more.
They crashed out through the front window, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah, come on. Oh, there's Clem on the floor. They must have laid him out. Easy, Chester. They may be waiting outside for us.
There they go. They're making a run for it.
Yeah, come on. Let's get out through this window.
Mr. Dillon? Mr. Dillon!
It's all right, Chester. Nicked a rib, I think. I'm all right, though.
I thought for a minute there that they'd...
Yeah, I know. Looks like one of them stayed behind. That shot came from the corner of the livery stable over there. Maybe I can...
What's the matter, Dillon? You're supposed to be good.
It's Houston, all right.
He's back at that old stone well.
Yeah. Stay here and keep him pinned down, Chester. I'm going up on the roof, through the trap door back here.
All right, Mr. Dillon. Watch yourself.
Yeah. Throw a shot or two at him. Keep him busy, huh?
Yes.
You gotta do better than that, Dillon.
I will, Houston. Don't worry about that. Now, if I can just get this open without... There. Now...
You're not getting Lily, are you, Dillon?
South corner there ought to put me right over him. And then I... Wait a minute. Moonlight night and a bank. So that's who they are. Houston!
Dillon, where are you?
Up here! You're under arrest. Drop your gun.
I'll drop it.
Last chance, Houston.
Your last chance.
All right, then. So long, gunslinger.
I reckon that did it, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah. Moonlight's real bright up here, Chester. All right, Chester, I'm coming down.
You fellas, don't.
Mr. Bates is coming, too, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah, he's not bad off. They must have slapped him with a gun barrel on the way out. Clem? Clem, can you hear me?
Matt? Oh, Matt, thank you.
Chester, get that chair over there.
Yes, sir. Here you are.
All right, give me a hand with it.
Easy, fellas.
Come on, Mr. Bates. There you are. Now, what happened, Clem? Are they trying to make you open the vault?
That's right. It was those Thompson brothers, Matt.
Yeah, I know.
They fooled me plenty. Thought they were fine fellas. I've been drinking with them all evening.
Well, you never know, Clem. They get away with anything?
No. I was about to give in and open the vault when you rode by. That got him kind of upset.
Well, there's no harm done then. Houston Jack was long overdue for killing.
We gonna go after the Thompsons, Mr. Dillon?
Where, Chester? They could have gone in any one of a dozen directions. There'd be no chance of trying to track them till morning. Somehow, I don't think we'll get them even then.
I think I ought to get something done about this head of mine, Matt. It's giving me fits.
Yeah, I'll go with you, Clem. I gotta tell the doc about Houston. Chester, I guess you better go over to the depot and wake up Mr. Hightower. Have him put a wanted bulletin on the wire.
For the Thompson brothers, huh?
No, Chester. I've recognized them finally. Their name isn't Thompson.
Well, what name do I put in the bulletin, Mr. Dillon?
Just say, wanted for attempted bank robbery in Dodge City, Frank and Jesse James.
Gunsmoke, under the direction of Norman MacDonald, stars William Conrad as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal. Tonight's story was specially written for Gunsmoke by Les Crutchfield, with music composed and conducted by Rex Corey. Featured in the cast were Harry Bartell and Vic Perrin, with Paul Dubov, Joe Duvall, and Lou Krugman. Parley Bear is Chester, Georgia Ellis is Kitty. Join us again next week as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal, fights to bring law and order out of the wild violence of the West in Gunsmoke. Sundays in the daytime, CBS Radio brings you a unique series of political debates. A program called Pick the Winner, on which the major parties select their highest authorities to discuss important election issues. Tomorrow on most of these same CBS radio stations, hear another major election issue debated. Hear Pick the Winner. And don't forget, to make the full use of what these programs tell you, register so you may vote this fall. This is Roy Rowan speaking. Remember, every Sunday we extend a cordial invitation to great music on the CBS Radio Network. Dodge City and in the territory on West, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers, and that's with the U.S. Marshal and the smell of Gunsmoke. Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad. The story of the violence that moved west with young America. The story of a man who moved with it. Matt Dillon, United States Marshal.
They told us a man we'd been looking for, a murderer, was in a cow camp on the North Fork of the Canadian River, about 100 miles south of Dodge. So Chester and I rode down to take a look. We found a fella there with a right name but the wrong face. So we started back. First night we camped in a dry, buffalo-rutted depression. The next morning I woke shortly after daybreak to find Chester already cooking breakfast.
Morning, Mr. Dillon. Meat'll be done soon.
The coffee made, Chester? That's what I need.
It's boiling. I didn't make much, though. I thought I'd better save our water.
You know, Chester, I'll bet right now the doc's back there in St. Louis, holed up in some fancy hotel and still asleep.
That's quite a thought, sir.
Yeah.
Him right in the middle of St. Louis and us way out here on the prairie.
I'll bet he's even got sheets on his bed.
I wouldn't be surprised, Mr. Dillon. Doc said this was one vacation he was going to splurge on. He's riding the Santa Fe both ways.
Huh?
Well, meat's done. I cleaned off this rock here to cut it on.
Oh, good.
Oh, you got it warm anyway.
Well, now, meat shouldn't be overcooked, Mr. Dillon. That takes the taste clean out of it.
Now, then we ought to be able to taste everything about this steer. Eggman's disappointment.
How's that, Mr. Dillon?
Never mind, Chester. How come you woke up so early this morning?
Oh, I always do. Seems as soon as it gets daylight, my feet start to sweat, and then I just got to get up.
Well, that's as good a reason as any, I guess. Wow. Looks like we got company, Chester.
What?
Oh.
Where?
Right out there, heading straight for us.
Oh, yeah. Some cowboy, probably.
I don't know. He doesn't ride quite like a cowboy.
Why, it's just a kid, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah, it sure is.
Sure needs a haircut. What? Say, Mr. Dillon, it's a girl.
What could she be doing out here?
I'm carrying a rifle, too.
Well, get on, miss, and have some coffee.
Who are you, mister?
Hi, this is Chester Proudfoot, and I'm Matt Dillon.
How do you do?
You rustlers or what?
Not exactly. I'm the U.S. Marshal out of Dodge, ma'am.
U.S. Marshal? Oh, that's good.
It is? Why?
I need help, Mr. Marshal. My daddy's awful sick.
Sick? Well, where is your daddy?
We got a homestead about a mile over that rise back there.
Oh, what's he sick with?
It's his leg, Mr. Marshal. A horse threw him and his saddle both in the corral, and then it stepped on his foot. And now his whole leg's all funny. He's got a fever, too.
Mr. Dillon, that sounds like...
Yeah, I know, Chester. Tell me, miss, when the horse stepped on him, did it cut his foot, break the skin anywhere?
Just a scratch. Tore his boot off, though.
Oh.
Please, Mr. Marshal, please come see him. I'm scared, the way his leg is and everything.
Well, sure we'll come. Your mother with him now?
I don't have a mother, Mr. Marshal.
Oh. Well, then, what are you doing out here if your daddy's sick?
We ran out of meat about 3 days ago, and I don't have anything to feed him.
Oh. All right. Chester, I'll ride back with... what is your name, anyway?
Tara Hantry.
Oh.
I'll be 16 next January.
Well, that's fine. We'll go back to the Hantry place, Chester. You scout around for some meat.
All right, sir.
And if you don't find any antelope, shoot the first calf you see. Anybody's calf.
I'll do it, Mr. Dillon.
He's in the sleeping room, Mr. Marshal.
No.
Daddy. Daddy, I found a man, and he's going to help us. And, Daddy, he's a marshal, a U.S. Marshal.
Matt Dillon, Mr. Hantry. How are you feeling?
Dillon? I've heard of you. You're from Dodge, aren't you?
That's right.
Well, Marshal, I ain't feeling so good. My foot don't hurt no more, but it and my leg is all sort of... Well, it ain't pretty.
I don't know much about these things, but maybe I better take a look at it anyway, huh?
Sure, Marshal. There she is.
All right, you can cover it up.
I was in the war, Marshal. I know what gangrene is. Guess you do, too, huh?
Yeah. Well, the first thing, a friend of mine is out getting you some meat, and then we'll load you in your wagon. And
Ben took the wagon.
What?
Ben Warling. He took the wagon when Daddy got hurt. Said he'd find a doctor and bring him back.
Who's Ben Walling?
Oh, he's been sort of working here, Mr. Marshal.
I should have run him off long ago. That's what.
Well, where is he? What'd he take the wagon for? Where's he going to find a doctor around here anyway?
Closest doctor's in Dodge I know of.
Yeah, and he's in St. Louis, and he won't be back for a couple of weeks.
I couldn't get to him anyway.
Well, tell me, when did this happen?
About 6 days ago, Mr. Marshal.
Uh-huh.
Ben left the day after.
Well, you think he's coming back? Did he steal the wagon or what?
He comes back here and me not able to get around. I don't know what I'll do. I ought to take a bullwhip to
now,
him.
Take it easy,
Just
Mr.
a
Hantry.
bullwhip.
Take it. He won't cause any trouble, so don't you get all worked up. Tara, we'll let him get some rest, huh?
All right.
We'll have some food for you soon, Mr. Hantry.
I ain't very hungry.
Tara, what's he so riled up about this Ben Walling for? What's between them?
Oh, it's nothing, Mr. Marshall. Daddy's sick and... that's all.
Look, Tara, you asked me to help you, didn't you?
Yes, but...
You trust me, don't you?
All right, Mr. Marshall. Daddy hates Ben because Ben... well, Ben likes me.
Oh, I see.
He even wanted to marry me. Said he would.
How do you feel about Ben, Tara? You like him?
No. Of course, it's time I had a man and all that, but... I'm afraid of Ben, Mr. Marshall. It's like there's something wrong with him. He's always sneaking around when you don't expect him. Makes me uneasy, like.
Well, we won't worry about Ben now. You stay here in case your daddy wants anything. I'll go outside and wait for Chester.
Mr. Marshall, I'm awful glad you're here.
We'll see it through, Tara. Don't you worry.
I won't. Now.
I went outside and walked over to the small corral that stood nearby. There I rolled a smoke and looked out across the flat distances of the prairie. And I wondered how anyone could survive in all that emptiness. Hantry lying on his bed back there in the house. He wouldn't survive. The prairie had got to him all right. And its vast loneliness had put him out of reach of any help. And Tara, what could she do out here in this endless land of grass? I was glad to get my mind off it when Chester rode in with an antelope across his saddle. We hung it on the corral, dressed it, took a hind quarter into Tara, and we went back outside and sat down.
Yes, sir. She's a plucky girl, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah, fine girl, Chester.
Yeah, but this Ben fella, I just don't understand his going off with the wagon like that.
Well, it doesn't matter much now. Hantry won't last more than a day or two, anyway.
It's that bad, is it?
Yeah, blood poisoning, Chester. As soon as it reaches his heart, he's done for.
Well, isn't there any way to stop it?
Yeah, sure. Cut his leg off.
Oh. Too bad Doc isn't here.
Yeah.
Would that stop it, Mr. Dillon? Cutting his leg off, I mean?
I don't know, Chester. I don't know. Maybe too late anyway.
Well, I sure wish we could do something for him. I don't take to just sitting around and waiting for a man to die.
Well, nobody does.
It isn't right somehow. That poor fella and Tara. Why, Mr. Dillon, that girl will go crazy out here all alone.
All right, Chester. What do you want me to do about it? I'm not a doctor. Now shut up.
Well, Mr. Dillon, you could do it. I know you could.
Do what?
Be a doctor. Long enough to save Mr. Hantry's life.
Are you
anyway.
out of your head?
No, sir.
Then what are you talking like that for? The most I ever did was doctor a horse for the colic. That's fine training for this, isn't it?
I know. I couldn't do it. I just plain don't have the spirit. But you do.
Oh, why didn't I leave you back in Dodge?
It wouldn't have mattered anyway, Mr. Dillon, because you would never just stand by and let a man die.
Let's go talk to him, Chester.
Yes, sir, Mr. Dillon.
Daddy's fever's worse, Mr. Marshall. I'm going to get some more water.
Yeah. How do you feel, Mr. Hantry?
I don't feel much, Marshal. Outside of burning up. I've been trying to tell Tara I just can't last long with blood poisoning. She's just got to figure on it.
Well, that's what I came to talk to you about. I guess you know the only thing that'll give you a chance.
I know. I've been thinking about it. But I couldn't ask any man to do that.
You didn't ask me. Well, it's up to you, Mr. Hantry. I'll try it if you're willing. Only thing is, I won't know much about what I'm doing.
I seen it done in the Union Army, Marshal. I could tell you some things.
All right.
The only thing is, Marshal, I don't know I'd be much use around here with one leg.
Well, you'll have to decide that for yourself.
I know.
You could move to town, Mr. Hantry, you and Tara.
That's it, Tara. If it was just me, I wouldn't do it, but I can't leave Tara alone. Now, if I can help it, I can't. All right, Marshal. Let's do it.
You're a brave man.
No, Marshal. I just don't have any choice. Come on. Let's get it over with.
You got any liquor in the house?
There's a jug of corn out in the kitchen.
Get it, Chester. You can start drinking it while we're getting everything else ready.
Tell Tara to start boiling a lot of water.
Yeah.
I'll talk to her in a few minutes.
I'll be right back.
Now, I want you to tell me everything that you know about this, Mr. Hantry.
First, I'll tell you what you'll need.
Mm-hmm.
There's a straight iron out by the corral somewhere.
Yeah.
You can heat it in the main room fireplace.
Right. Now, what else?
Tara will find some cloth for bandages. And the rest of the stuff you can get in the kitchen.
Uh-huh.
The only thing worrying me is what'll we use to tie off the arteries with? Plain thread won't hold.
Well, maybe some thin strips of rawhide.
No, they'd soak through. You got to have something.
No, I know. At least I think it'll work. What about horsehair?
Oh, that's it, Marshal. Pull it off the tail. It'll work fine.
Here's the jug, Mr. Hantry, and I brought you a cup, too.
Pour me some. I want to get good and drunk.
Here you are, Mr. Hantry.
You know, I ain't been drunk in the daytime since we got the news about President Lincoln in the spring of '65.
You better have your talk with Tara before that takes hold.
Ask her to come in, will you?
Come on, Chester. We got work to do.
Yes, sir. Good luck, Mr. Hantry.
Thanks. Well, Marshal?
Yeah?
Marshal? I'll try to make it easy for you.
Yeah, sure. Shortly after noon, I operated. Whether it was the corn whiskey or his own hard courage, I don't know, but Hantry never whimpered. Chester stood outside the door and brought me whatever I needed. Tara waited in the kitchen, boiling more water and thinking her own thoughts. Maybe it was harder on her than any of us. Toward the end, Hantry mercifully passed out. When I'd finally finished bandaging him, I was kind of faint myself. I'd done everything I could. I just hoped I'd done it right.
How is he, Mr. Dillon?
You'll have to clean up in there, Chester. I've got to get outside for some air.
Yes, sir, I'll do it.
And put that fire out. It's hot enough around here.
I don't know how you did it, Mr. Dillon.
Tara? Tara, will you come on outside for a while?
Is Daddy all right? Is he all right, Mr. Marshall?
It's all over, Tara. We'll just have to wait and see now. There now, Tara. He's all right.
I'm sorry, but it took so long. I thought you'd never finish.
He didn't feel much, Tara. The corn liquor worked fine. fine.
Will he get well now?
Well, I hope so, Tara. I hope so.
Mr. Marshall, are you going to wait and see?
Oh, now, Tara, you don't have to worry about that, Chester, and I'll be here as long as you need us.
I just wanted to be sure. Can I go see Daddy now?
Well, as soon as Chester comes out, Tara, then you can.
All right. I'll wait, Mr. Marshall.
It beats me, Mr. Dillon, how he can just lay there so quiet and peaceful.
It's only been 4 or 5 hours, Chester. The liquor hasn't worn off yet.
He drank nearly the whole jug.
No, he needed it.
Say, Mr. Dillon, look yonder.
Huh?
Somebody coming with a wagon.
Oh, yeah. It's probably that Ben Walling they were talking about.
I'll bet that's who it is, all right. Wonder what he'll have to say for himself.
Ah, you'll think of something, Chester. His kind always do. You recognize him?
No, sir. Do you?
Oh, I never saw him before.
Hello. What are you doing here?
You Ben Walling?
How'd you know?
The Hantrees, they've been wondering about you.
Oh, yeah, sure. How's old Hantry, anyway?
He's all right.
He is, huh?
You've been gone a long time, Ben. Where were you?
I don't know you, mister, but you sure ask a lot of questions.
You can answer them one at a time. Now, where were you?
Who are you anyway, mister?
I'm a U.S. Marshal.
Ain't no U.S. Marshals around here.
There is now. Generally, I'm in Dodge.
Your name Dillon?
It is.
Well, what are you doing here, Marshal?
Tara ran into us, asked us to help. Seems the only able-bodied man around here took off in a wagon.
I went to fetch a doctor. Is anything wrong in that?
Not at all. Where is he?
Well, first night the horses ran away, and I've been chasing them ever since. I didn't catch him till this morning. And then I've been gone so long, I thought I'd better get back to you right away. I was worried about Tara and old Hantry, of course.
I see. Well, you better get your horses unhitched, Ben. You can see Tara later. She's in with her father now.
Gonna be all right, huh? I was kind of worried about that foot. Looked to me like it might have poison in it.
It did.
What do you mean it did?
I took his leg off about noon today.
You what?
Mr. Dillon did it all by himself, just like a regular doctor.
Oh, but how'd you know what to do? You might have killed him.
Somebody had to do it, Ben. It's a sure thing Tara couldn't.
You're blaming me, ain't you? Well, I did everything I could. It isn't my fault those blasted horses run off.
Antray's pretty sick, Ben. I wouldn't bother him for a day or two if I were you.
Oh, I won't bother you. Oh, now look, Marshal. You can leave now. I'll handle everything here.
We'll leave. As soon as Hantry's able to take care of himself again.
All right, stay as long as you like. I don't care.
Mr. Dillon?
Yeah.
I think that Ben is a no-good liar.
You're right on both counts, Chester. And I'll tell you something else. You see that saddle over there?
Well, that belongs to Mr. Hantry.
Yeah, I know. I looked at it this noon. Somebody cut the cinch strap on it.
Cut the cinch strap?
Mm-hmm.
No wonder that bronc bucked him in the saddle off Bull.
Well, do you think Tara did it?
Oh, my goodness gracious, no, Mr. Dillon. Tara'd never do a thing like that to her own. It was Ben, wasn't it?
That'd be my guess. He figured the old man would get hurt, maybe killed.
Why, sir?
So he'd have a free hand with Tara.
Why, that low down... Mr. Dillon, let me arrest him.
Not yet, Chester. There's plenty of time.
All right, sir. I'll wait.
There wasn't as much time as I figured. Hantry had a bad night, and by morning he was so weak he couldn't lift his head. I tried to take his pulse, but I could hardly find it. Maybe I'd operated too late. Maybe the poison had already moved up into his body. I didn't know. I had no way of knowing. So there was nothing to do now but wait.
Want some more coffee, Mr. Dillon?
Yeah, thank you, Chester. We'll fill it up, huh?
Tara won't eat anything at all, sir. She just sat there by his bed, hasn't slept a wink I know of.
Well, it's her father, Chester. He's all she's got.
I never thought much about it before, Mr. Dillon, but seeing Tara, I kind of wish I had a daughter.
You'd have to change your profession if you were going to take care of a daughter, Chester.
Why, I don't have any profession, Mr. Dillon.
Oh, Mr. Marshall.
Yeah, what is it, Tara?
Please come. Daddy wants you. I think he's...
You better come too, Chester.
Yes, sir.
It's Matt Dillon, Mr. Handry. Can you hear me?
Marshal, I can't hold out no more.
Now, don't say that. Keep fighting, man. You'll pull through.
No, Marshal. I'm gonna die.
Oh, Daddy. Daddy.
Tara. It's about Tara, Marshal. Don't leave her here. Ben Walling, he's no good. He'll try to keep her.
Now, don't you worry about Ben Walling, Mr. Handry. I promise you he won't get anywhere near Tara. Now or ever.
Thanks, Marshal. He's a bad one. Tara can't stay here alone. She can't work this place. It's a bad way to die. Not no.
Now, I want you to listen to me. Listen to me now.
Yeah?
I promise you something else, too. I'll take care of Tara. I'll see she's all right. I'll see she's cared for. Now, I promise that.
I thank you, Marshal. I sure. Where's Tara?
Daddy, I'm right here. Daddy.
Tara.
Come on, Chester.
Daddy. Daddy.
I don't know, Mr. Dillon. I don't think they'd have made out on this place anyway.
Why not, Chester?
Well, there just isn't enough water. That one little old spring's all I've got.
Well, if they had a lake, it'd still be too much for Tara.
What are we going to do with her, Mr. Dillon?
I don't know, Chester. We'll have to think of something, though.
My, I wish she'd come out of that house. I don't like it, her in there breaking her heart.
Give her a little time, Chester. She'll be all right.
Don't you move a finger, either one of you.
Well,
Well, you're mighty careless with that rifle, Ben.
Don't get smart with me, Marshal. I know what I'm doing.
And what would that be?
I heard you in there. Heard you promise to take Tara away. I was right by the window. I heard it all.
You got a curious way of courting a girl, Ben, trying to kill her father.
Yeah, and I saw you yesterday looking at that saddle, but I didn't kill him, Marshal. You did.
That's a lie, Ben Walling, and you know it.
shut up.
I won't shut up. If we'd have just got here sooner, Mr. Dillon would have saved him, that's all.
Yes. It's too bad you got here at all. Because you're going to die for it. Both of you.
Put the gun down, Ben. You're under arrest for attempted murder.
You stay right where you are, Marshal.
You know, I have an idea you've smelled powder before, Ben, and that you're afraid of it.
Marshal?
I have an idea that's why you tried to get Handry like you did instead of facing him.
Stop there.
And right now you wish you didn't have that rifle at all, don't you, Ben? Because I might have to shoot you for it, huh?
No, don't, Marshal.
Give me
that.
You all right, Mr. Dillon?
He didn't even try, Chester. Rifle went off when I knocked it aside. That's all. He was scared to death.
Well, I didn't feel exactly comfortable.
So tie him up and keep an eye on him. I'll go see Tara.
Yes, sir, Mr. Dillon.
Late that evening, we buried Handry out on the prairie, out in back of the little homestead. It would die now, too. Fall apart without him. The next morning, we loaded everything we could get into the wagon. With Tara beside me, we started out for Dodge. Ben Wallen never said a word. Chester led his horse, and they rode along ahead of us. I had plenty of time to tell Tara all about Dodge and how there were some good people there and how we'd find her a home and family. She sat there, tight-lipped. She didn't say much. But she never once looked back.